My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my spoiler-filled review for The Last of Us Part 2. I love this game. I love it so very much. It's the greatest game ever made. It's the greatest story ever told. It's pure perfection. It's a masterpiece. And just like my spoiler-filled review for the first game, this will be a very long review, so let's just get into it now. I love the opening of this game. Joel's telling Tommy about what happened at the end of the first game. And what this does right from the get-go is that it immediately puts things into perspective. That anyone who walked away from the first game thinking that Joel was a selfless hero, and it puts things into perspective, and it basically tells you that no, Joel was incredibly selfish at the end of the first game. What he did was wrong. Joel knows it, and he knows how Ellie would react to it. And with every word that Joel is saying, you feel the emotional weight behind it. Tommy's reaction, how shooken up he is about it, sells you on that reaction even more so. It's a powerful way to begin this game, and it tells you a lot of what this game's going to do. Brilliant way to begin it. And then we get this scene of Joel and Tommy riding into Jackson on horses as the sun is setting, and you've got Unbroken by Gustavo Santaolalla playing in the background. And what a beautiful atmospheric way to begin the game. It's just stunning. You then get into Jackson, and Joel goes to see Ellie, and as soon as they start talking, you're just like, the magic is back. Just the chemistry between these two is so good. You can feel that Ellie's a bit distant, and that Joel's trying to win her over. And it's absolutely brilliant how this scene plays out, and I'll just put it here.
Hey.
Hey.
What's up, Joel?
Just checking in. Folks are, talking about how impressed they are with you and how well you're helping out.
It's good.
Yeah. Tommy and I went out riding the other day, and he told me a joke, and I thought about you. It's oh shoot, now I forgot it. Something about a clock. How do you...
Joel, it's pretty late and I gotta get up in a few hours.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get out of your hair. Just, I want to show you something. Just give me 1 second.
What's this?
Some folks call this thing here a guitar.
Funny.
You want to hear something?
Okay.
Okay. Promise me that you won't laugh.
I won't laugh. I won't.
I'm trusting you. If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Everything I have found here, I'm not found by myself. Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. All my stolen missing parts I've no need for any more, 'cause I believe And I believe, 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me. There you go.
Well, that didn't suck.
I'll take what I can get. She's yours.
No. No. I don't know the first thing
I
about
promised that I'd teach you how to play.
You did.
So what do you say, tomorrow night? First lesson?
Deal.
Okay. Okay.
Do you remember the joke?
What is the downside to eating a clock? It's time consuming.
That's so dumb.
Yeah. Good night, kiddo.
It begins and Joel is trying to get close to Ellie. She's pulling back, and by the end of the scene, they're close again. They have a relationship again. It's a very short scene that has a great arc between two characters. It's really well done, and the introduction of future days is so perfect here. Because for the rest of the game, whenever this song plays, we sync back onto this moment. And it's also so satisfying because there's moments in the first game where Ellie tells Joel that if she gets him out of here, he would have to sing for her, and he's like, "You wish." But no, he's actually singing for her. He says he'll teach her how to play, just like he said he would. You can just see that Joel is trying to be a better man, and he's staying true to everything he said to her in the first game. And just the joke that's introduced in this scene of what's the downside of eating a clock? How at first Ellie has no idea and doesn't care what the answer is. She's just like, I just want to go to bed. Just leave me alone. And then by the end, Joel's about to leave and she then asks him, did you remember that joke? It just shows you how far they've come in this one single scene. It's just an amazing way to begin the game. I love it so very much. And then it skips ahead 5 years. We see Ellie, she's 19 now, and we get a knock at the door, and it's Jesse. And Jesse's just like, oh, I heard you kissed my ex-girlfriend last night. And I'm just like, oh shit, is this dude gonna be the cliche, jealous ex-boyfriend? And then he just goes like, I'm just fucking with you, I don't care. And I'm just like, oh, that's a welcome subversion of expectations. And then as Ellie and Jesse are going about their day, they're just talking about what happened the night before, of Ellie kissing Dina, and then Tess gets mad at them, and then Joel defends Ellie, and then Ellie gets mad at Joel. And I just love how the events of that night are told right at the beginning, and the way they come back into play later on, it's just brilliant foreshadowing. It really is, because we have one view of these events right now, and that's pretty much that Ellie knows that Joel lied to her in the back of her head. And Joel's tried to be close with her over the years, but she's kind of pushing back. And we just see that there's lots of tension between the two relationship. We don't think that she knows anything about what really happened with the Fireflies. We just think that their relationship has been falling apart because of her skepticism. And the fact that she doesn't trust Joel in the story he told her. And I just think our view of this event at the beginning of the game is just, and how that changes throughout is just masterful. But anyways, you meet Seth, he gives her a sandwich, and Ellie's just like, wow, do you want a bigger sandwich? Funny joke. I just love walking around Jackson. You can really see that it's a community brought to life. You know, there's kids playing around, they're running around. It just feels like those actual people that live here. I also love the fact that in Ellie's room, you can see that the toy she was going to give Sam was sitting on the shelf. That's a nice smart touch. But you can just tell that they've moved into a community. And I just love that sense. You know, they have certain patrols and routes they go on. It just feels like this world's entirely lived in. And like I said, we get mentions of Kat throughout this entire game, and we don't even meet Kat once. She hardly gets mentioned, to be honest. But it just feels like Ellie has a past before we see her in this game. I just love that aspect. But then you get introduced to Dina, who you know that Ellie and her kissed the night before, and you do a snowball fight with the kids, which is a nice way to introduce the gameplay mechanics. You guys go about over to a shed, get on some horses, get some weapons. You guys are going to go on patrol. And I just love this one moment, which I'll play here.
Open it up. Settle down, children. All right. You all know the drill. Run your routes, mark your logbooks, clear any infected you see. You run into anything you can't handle, you come back. Be smart about it. All right. Get going.
The reason why I love that moment is nothing happens. They're just riding out before the storm comes. But it just feels like that. This moment feels like the calm before the storm. And it's just got so much atmosphere in it. Like, you can feel that something bad is about to happen. And I love it. But then anyways, then we get introduced to this random group of people, and you start playing as someone named Abby. And I'm just like, okay, I heard you play as someone that people didn't like, but I guess this is a character. Who is she? What's she doing? And you kind of get the sense that she likes this Owen guy, that there's a history between them, but he's with this other girl who's pregnant, male. And you can just get a sense of the history between them in just this one short moment. And then they keep saying, we're looking for him. And my first thought is, well, they're probably looking for Joel. Joel's double-crossed a lot of people in the past. And anyways, then you make your way, you know, throughout the mountains as Abby, and I just love the look of the snow. It looks all really real, and it looks great, and yeah, it's a good way to introduce you to the character. You don't know what her role is, why she's after Joel, and you just have all these questions. But then anyways, you cut back to Ellie and Dina, and I just love this moment of them riding around on horses, talking to each other. You come across a neighborhood, and you guys get off the horses, and you start looking for supplies. And there's one line here that at the beginning of the game, it's just a throwaway line, but when you play the game again, it has a whole different meaning. Because Dina asks Ellie, oh, what are you doing tonight? And Ellie's telling her that she's going to try to watch a movie with Joel. And that he likes all these lame movies. And when I first played, I'm just like, okay, so they're growing apart, but she's still trying to do things with him. But after you've played the game, this line has entirely different meaning, because it just shows that Ellie was trying to forgive Joel and that she wanted to start doing things with him again starting that night. Yeah, I love that. But anyways, you make your way through, you find a few clickers, you go through some shopping center, you're going about it, and you come across this one view. I think I put in my other video, but I put the picture here too, because it is just a beautiful view. Like, the graphics in this game are just stunning. I also love how you can look at the log books and see all the jokes that people will make in the log book. You can see that Joe and Tommy always travel with each other. You see names like Eugene and Jesse and who they travel with. And I just like that. It's a small thing, but I really do like that. I also like the addition of Eugene. Dina talks about how she used to do patrols with him, about how they used to smoke weed together. And you don't meet this character once. He's dead, but like, you just feel like you really know him and the impact he had on Dina. I just love that. But anyways, the storm starts to pick up, and I love this section when you're trying to follow Dina. Then at a certain point, you lose her, and then she comes back, and it's just like, Ellie, this way. You make your way to a library, and then you find out that Eugene Eugene was sometimes living here, and you find out that he was an old Firefly, and I was just like, oh, because Eugene was an old Firefly, is Ellie going to find out what Joe did to this? Okay. You get introduced to the workbench animation here, which I already mentioned. I love the look of it. It's just phenomenal. But anyways, then you find out that Eugene was growing weed, and you go downstairs and there's a bunch of dead weed, and he has all these... I just love the conversations they have down in this room and the things they find. It's really funny. And then you get this really sweet scene between the two of them where Dina asks Ellie to rate their kiss from last night, and they're kind of going back and forth, and they eventually kiss, and it's a really sweet romantic scene that I really dug. But then you play again as Abby, and Abby is fighting off all these zombies, but she starts getting overwhelmed. She's in danger. She might get killed, and then her life is saved. By whom? Well, who else but Joel? Joel and Tommy rescue her. They fight all these clickers and runners at the ski lift, and they're just like, oh, we need to get someplace safe. And Abby's like, we're staying in this place not far from here. And Joe and Tommy are just like, okay, let's do it. So they make their way over there. And I'm just going to address it right here because, my goodness, some people are completely overreacting about this scene. Yeah, Joe made a mistake. That happens. He told Abby his name. Well, I guess it was really Tommy, but yes, his name was revealed to Abby. Is that out of character? It maybe would have been if Joe was the same guy he was at the beginning of the first game, but he has clearly changed. He put down the barriers, he opened himself up. Instead of killing all these people that come around Jackson, they invite them in. He has changed as a person. I just can't believe that people think that their favorite character ever can't ever make any mistakes without it being a fatal flaw. Just don't buy it. But anyways, man, okay, I'm going to try talking about this scene without tearing up. But, Abby leads you to the place that her and her friends are staying at. And Owen goes up to Abby and he's just like, do you have any idea how lucky you are that you survived? And Abby's like, you have no idea. And Tommy and Joe tell the groups their names. And you can just feel the silence in the room. You feel like you could hear a pin drop. And Joe's just like, sounds like you guys have heard of us or something. And Abby's like, they have. And then she shoots him right in the knee. Tommy then gets beaten and held back.
I'm Mel, by the way.
Tommy, this is my brother.
Joe. Y'all act like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
Laura, all clear?
He's out. Put him against the wall.
Tommy! Get off me! Get off me! Puta madre.
Joel Miller.
Who are you?
Guess.
Why don't you say whatever speech you got rehearsed? Get this over with.
Tourniquet his leg. Do it.
Don't you fucking move. God! Damn it!
Clear out. You stupid old man. You don't get to rush this.
This scene is the most emotional scene I think I've ever witnessed. First of all, I just want to say that Joe still stays in character because as Abby's just like, do you know who I am? And Joe's just like, why don't you say whatever speech you got rehearsed and get this over with? And it just shows that Joe knew this day was coming. He knew that he has double-crossed so many people before in the past that one day his past was going to catch up to him. But he wasn't going to be begging on his knees to stay alive. He understood that he's done some bad things, and I just love that line. Why don't you get whatever lines you got rehearsed and get this over with? Just the guy's lying there, he's about to die, and he can still just chuck out a line like that. It's amazing. But then Jesse finds Ellie and Dina. It's quite clear they just had sex, and Jesse's just like, guys, like Joe and Tommy didn't show up to their checkpoint. And you can just feel how worried Ellie is. And you, the gamer, can feel just something bad is about to happen. Ellie goes out to find Joe and she comes across where he is. She goes inside and you can hear Joe screams. And like I said, I'm going to try not to cry talking about it because this is the scene that gets under my skin the most. Ellie follows his voice, she opens the door and she gets beaten up, put on the ground. And they're like, oh, why weren't you guys outside? Someone should have been checking. And you can see Joel's face, and it's just destroyed. Like, it is beaten. This guy is as if this guy somehow made it out at this point, he would still probably die. And Ellie is on the ground, and she's just screaming, Joel, please get up. Joel, please fucking get up. And she's crying out to him. And she's just begging to Abby, please don't do this. Please don't do this. And I'll just play the scene here.
Pin her down! Get off me! Get her hand! Get the fuck off me!
Bitch! You got her! Look, you got her! Okay?
You're gonna fucking die!
What's going on?
Let him go!
Who is that?
Let him
She
go!
snuck in.
Why aren't you posted up outside?
We didn't think anyone was gonna show up.
What the hell did you expect? We gotta get out of here before the whole town's on top of us. You're done.
You want what I want, right?
End it. Now.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up. Please stop. Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up. No! Fucking kill you! Fucking kill you!
Ellie. I'm sorry.
Jesse! They're down here!
I'll never get over how heartbreaking that scene is. Every single time I've played this game, it still affects me unlike anything else. It just breaks me. It completely destroys me. Just Ashley Johnson's performance there as she's crying out, you can hear her voice break, and it is so sad. And Joel looks at her for one last time, and his last view is of Ellie crying out to him. He knows that when he died, he knew that Ellie did care for him, and you can see that he's crying. It is a completely heartbreaking scene. And I love that moment where Ellie gets knocked out, and then it cuts to black, and then you can hear Dina, Ellie. And she's like, they're down here. And Dina's just like, I'm so sorry. And Ellie just is lying there, looking across at Joel's dead body. And you can just see that it has hit her, that Joe is really dead. She's just like, oh no. My goodness, the emotional impact that this scene has. You're enraged, you hate Abby, you hate Manny for spitting on him. You hate all these characters, you want them to suffer, you hate them so much. And you feel the heartbreak and the devastation that Ellie feels. And my goodness, and this scene afterwards of Ellie and Tommy, I'll just play it here.
Hey,
Hey,
could I sit down, please?
yeah.
Maria wants to make sure you're eating.
She can't stop us.
To have the guys that we would need to do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
So they just get to get away with this?
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, but that's what's happening.
What if we get hit by hunters again?
Is this you talking or is this her?
It's a valid point.
If it were you or me, Joel would be halfway to Seattle already.
No, he wouldn't.
He absolutely fucking would be.
Well, we don't even know for certain that they're from Seattle.
Washington Liberation Front. That's what you said was on those patches.
What if they stole those jackets?
That's...
What the WLF move?
What are you doing? You know what? I'm leaving tomorrow. And if you want to come with me, great.
You have no idea what you're walking into. You don't know how large that group is, how armed.
I don't care. You can't talk me out of this.
Give me a day to talk to Maria. Okay? There's got to be some folks you can spare.
And if she won't budge?
Well, I'll figure something out. One day. Please.
Fine.
Okay. Okay.
It just shows you how close these two characters have come. Tommy has become like an uncle to Ellie, and I love seeing that. I really do. And just there's so much emotion here. They both know that they've lost someone that they truly care for. You know, Tommy's the one that knows what has happened between Joe and Ellie. And he knows that how much guilt that Ellie must feel. And it's just so heartbreaking to watch. It really is. You know, just at the end when Tommy's like, come here, and he gives her a hug, and it's just, oh my goodness, it's just so emotional. I also love how the next scene we see is Joel's funeral, and then we see Ellie walking around Joel's house, which I'll cut to a few specific scenes in, but here we go.
I want to stop at his house before we leave. I just have to pick something up. Okay.
Hey. What do you need? I can go get it.
I want to do it.
Okay.
I'm okay. Come on. Dino-Nicus. That was a good day.
Just as soon as you see that gravestone, it really hits you that Joe is dead. You know, a part of you just wants to hold on hope that he isn't really dead, that he'll make some kind of miraculous recovery, but no. He is dead. You go to his house, you see all these gifts left on his house, and you can just feel that people have come to really love Joe. Ellie tries to open the door and her hands are shaking, and you walk around his house, you can see that he took up woodworking. You can see a pamphlet from a museum, which is a foreshadow to a scene we see later on. And you can just really tell just by walking around this house that he has become a better person. And it's so nice to see, and just walking around his house just feels like a funeral of sorts. You know, you go up there, you get his jacket, Ellie smells it, grabs his watch, grabs his gun. You look at the picture of him and Sarah. You look at all the woodworking things he has created. But anyways, you go downstairs and Maria's there, and Maria tells him that Tommy left. Well, actually, no, I think Dina already tells you that Tommy left before him. But Maria's just like, you guys can go. And you and Dina go on this journey to find Joe's killers. And at this point, you are just so enraged. You're just broken, and you really feel every emotion that Ellie feels. But then it cuts to Seattle day 1. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so this is going to take over the span of a couple of days. Okay, and Ellie and Dina are talking, and you can tell that Ellie's telling her the story from the first game of how Joe was drowning, and she picked up the gun and shot the guy, and that was her first kill. And I don't really think it was ever discussed before. That was the first time that Ellie killed an actual person before. And Ellie was 14, so then she asked Dina, when was the first time you killed a guy? And I believe Dina says when she was 9. And you're just like, whoa. You know, like a part of you feels like Joe and Ellie are the only 2 people that have gone through some terrible stuff in this world. That Ellie going through the stuff she went through in the first game was unlike anything else. But then Dina just puts things into perspective. And no, everyone in this world has gone through terrible things. Dina killed someone at a younger age than Ellie. Even before, when you're walking around all the stores, Ellie is telling Dina the most clickers she's killed on one trip with Joel. And then Dina tells her the most times she's killed clickers, and it's like 5 more than what Ellie killed. So you want Ellie and Joel to be the only 2 badasses on this planet. That, oh yes, they're capable of themselves. No one else is quite as badass as Joel and Ellie. And then Dina talks, and you just realize, no, everyone in this world has had to do awful things to survive. They've killed people, and it's terrible. And I just love that touch. She's a subversion of expectations. You expect her to be the warmth, the nice, cute girlfriend, you know, who's never killed anyone before. But no, that's just not the story this game's trying to tell. And I love that. I love the fact the game's doing that. I just love seeing, you know, this entire section completely overgrown by plants. You come across a gate, you get over it, you go down, you then open a bunch of gates, and I can see some people complaining about the pacing here because, you know, at this point you just want to kill people. You know, you just want to find Abby and kill her immediately. But this section does really make it hit you that, no. Like, it's going to be a while before you find anyone. You know, it's realistic that way. You're not going to get to Seattle and find exactly who you're looking for right away. So then you enter this open world section. And when we first encountered this section, I was just like, is this entire game going to be open world? And it's not. It's just this one section. But you come across this bank where you find out that people tried robbing the bank on Outbreak Day. There's a nice backstory there, and that's where you get the shotgun, so make sure you go to that bank. You go through all these different sections. I go everywhere in this section. I go over to the fire truck, grab the axe, and climb down and swing over to that area with the other supplies. I go into every store, I find my way past every fetcher gate, open every safe, I go into the courtroom. And I do love the courtroom section because then you go downstairs and you get attacked by all these clickers and runners, and it's a really creepy section. And I even love, before you go down, you start to get the first glimpse of the story of the wolves and how they started off as Fedra, but then Isaac kind of started a mutiny and he started rising up against their group. And I love that story. And you get your first glance of it here. But anyways, in that open world section, there's a music store. And this is an absolute must. Go into the music store and go upstairs. And Ellie picks up the guitar. And she plays a few notes of Future Days. And it just reminds you of Joel. And it's nice. But then Dina comes into the room and you start singing for her Take On Me, which I'll just play a clip of it here.
Needless to say, I'm odds and ends, but I'll be stumbling away, slowly learning life is okay. Say after me, it's
this is one of the warmest moments of the game. It just feels that these two people in love just relaxing for a couple minutes, and just one's getting sung to, one's doing the singing, and it's just a very nice moment. And I love this Take On Me. I love it. I love that song by Aha, but this quieter version of it is just fantastic. I love it. Anyways, you eventually get past the gate, you make your way to a hotel where a bunch of people are dead. You eventually find this one guy who was obviously killed by Tommy, and you can see that they were killed in the same way that Joel tortured those two guys in the winter section from the first game, and I love that. But yeah, for the first time, like, Dina's seeing how brutal Tommy can be. And I just love that. Then anyways, you make your way through the town, and all of a sudden, boom! A mine goes off, the horse dies, Dina escapes, and Ellie gets beaten up by these guys and gets taken to a school. And then that's when you approach the first guy that in the group that Abby took to Jackson. I believe his name is Jordan. And this guy is just a smug asshole. But anyways, you come across him and, hands tied behind the chair, and it's a really intense moment. You think, oh, it's like Ellie could actually die here. How is she going to escape? But then Dina comes in and rescues her. But then Dina gets beaten up, and she's on the verge of dying. And you're like, gotta grab a piece of glass to cut through the rope. And it's this really intense sequence. You're pressing triangle or square as fast as you can. And then you eventually go over and stab the glass into the guy's neck. And it is this brutal moment. It's so intense and thrilling, and I absolutely love it. And I love this entire section of fighting through the school. Because then you get attacked by two other guys. You take them down. Then you enter this hallway with a library on one side and classrooms on the other, and there's like 6-7 guys that you have to take down, and it's such a fun sequence. I love playing it. It just going between the two rooms, you can play this section so many different ways, along with the next section where you're in this tall grass in the courtyard. There's a bunch of baddies there, and you can either stealth it or attack them straight on. There's just so many ways to encounter it. There was this cafeteria, I think, section that you can also sneak around in. It's just, the level design is top notch. And then you get onto this rooftop, and there's a few other baddies, and you can just sneak around by crawling under these solar panels. Are they? I don't even know what they are, but you can sneak around by crawling under these things, and you can play it lots of different ways. Look, I know I said it in my other review, but the gameplay and the level design just can't be stated enough how much I love it. Like, it's given the most attention ever, and it's just so much fun to run through these sections and beat up people. It's so much fun. But then anyways, Ellie and Dina escape the school. It turns out that Ellie took a picture from Jordan. It turns out that Jordan was dating Leah, one of the girls who was also with Abby and Jackson, and that she's stationed at a TV station. I like saying that. So anyways, you guys make your way through the town. And first you come across some people at this diner, and there's one guy on the roof, and I love fighting these guys. It's a lot of fun, but one smaller moment that not enough people love is that if you go across the street, there's a Halloween store. And Ellie and Dina walking through it, and Dina's like, oh, check this stuff out. And Ellie's just like, I'm not really into this stuff. And most people wouldn't take note of that dialogue. I love it. If you play on The Last of Us Left Behind, there was a moment where Ellie and Riley are trying on all these different masks at a Halloween store, just having a fun time. And it just shows that Ellie doesn't care for that stuff anymore. It just shows that the kid in her is completely gone. Especially now, out of all times. And she just can't enjoy things that she once enjoyed. Now, I don't know if that was the intention of this one moment, but it's one moment that I get a lot from, and it's a moment that I really love. It's just one bit of dialogue, but there's so much to it. But then anyways, you make your way to this gas station / mechanic place, and this area is a lot of fun. You can go about it in lots of different ways. There's one office I like to hide in behind the desk, and then I sneak around to people going in the garage and then outside, and I then just keep going my way through there. But there's other ways to do it. It's a lot of fun. Just some of the dialogue that you can get throughout, like in the store across from there, it's a bookstore, and there's a few jokes that Ellie and Dina make to each other. And just like I said with the first game, just every piece of dialogue, every moment feels like it builds relationships and characters, and I just love that. But then anyways, you come across this group of guys. Well, first you come across this group of runners and clickers in this one store. You take them out, and then across from there, there's a bunch of guys in this, I don't even know what kind of area it is, but it's got lots of baddies outside. There's a bank across from it. There's a guy on the roof, looking around for people. And I love this section. I think it's a lot of fun to play. I've played so many different times and I get by a different way every time. I love that. And then just in that entire section that you make your way by, there's also some great lines of dialogue where Ellie and Dina are talking, and Dina's just like, well, do you know who these people are? Why they would do this? And Ellie's just like, I don't see the point in guessing. Joe crossed a lot of people. And I just love those moments. But anyways, you keep making your way to the TV station. You make your way there and you see a bunch of people hung up. And it's just like, holy shit, what is going on here? And you eventually find Leah and she is killed. You don't know who by. You know it's definitely not Tommy. But then anyways, you fight a bunch of wolves in the TV station. I think this section is a ton of fun. You can sneak your way through cracks in the wall, going up and down stairs. You can technically set a mine there, like at the door they come in, before you even have to fight the guys, and it wipes them all out. I just don't think that's a fun way to do it, but you can do that. And I love the mines. That's a new weapon in this game that I absolutely loved. It was my favorite weapon to use. But anyways, so then you make your way to the TV station and you're getting chased by all these wolves, and it just has this climatic feel, like the way the music's picking up, like, guys, she went that way after her. You're just jumping, there's guns getting shot at you, and you're just running away. It is so climatic, so thrilling, so intense, but you eventually make your way to the sewers, and I love this entire section. I love the use of red lighting. I just think it gives this game more of an atmosphere. It draws you in, and it's very unique looking. It just feels creepy. You eventually come across the shamblers, which I said in my first review that I love the look of, and I do. Like when they're lying dead on the ground and you're just like, look at all those things coming out of them. It's so creepy and so gross. I love it. The truth is that the shamblers are kind of easy to beat. Like you can just throw one Molotov cocktail at them and then just shoot them twice and they're dead. So they're not that challenging, but as someone who don't like my video games that hard, that's nice for me. There's a section where a bunch of wolves are looking for you in the sewers, and there's clickers, and you can throw a bottle to draw all the clickers towards those guys and make your way through them. You can fight clickers and the wolves, and it's just such thrilling and intense stuff. But eventually you get to the end of the sewers, and basically Ellie's mask breaks, and Dina's just like, oh my goodness, Ellie, no, we can share my mask. And Ellie stops her from taking off her mask. And then this is when Dina finds out that Ellie's immune, even though Ellie did tell her beforehand, but Dina just assumed it was a joke. And you can just feel the shock with Dina. And anyways, they end up escaping through the sewers in this really intense sequence, and you make your way to this movie theater. And once you go outside again, it's raining, and I just love the atmosphere of it all. You get to the movie theater, and well, this moment happens.
You want to tell me what's going on with you?
What's going on with me? Ellie, I just saw you breathe spores.
I told you. I'm immune.
Okay, you're immune? Come on.
I was bitten a long time ago.
The fuck are you talking about?
I was bitten and nothing happened.
The chemical burn.
Maria and Tommy and Joel are the only ones who know. Knew. Now you know. I can't get you infected if that's what you're worried about. I can't make you immune either. Say something.
Ellie. I think I'm pregnant.
What?
Don't worry, it's not yours.
What are we... What are we supposed to do now?
Nothing. I just need to rest for a second.
Are you fucking kidding? How long have you known?
I was late a few weeks ago.
A few weeks? We could have still turned back.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure, okay? I didn't want to be a burden.
Well, you're a burden now, aren't you?
There's quite a few things I love in that clip. I love the fact that Ellie tells Dina that Joe, Tommy, and Maria are the only people who knew. You can just see in that moment it hits her again that Joe really is dead. And you find out that Dina is pregnant, and that's why she's been sick all along. And she makes a joke like, "Don't worry, it's not yours," which is a great joke. And you can just see that, like, how this crest is having an effect on Ellie, because the best thing to do would be to go back at this point because Dina is sick and she knows that Dina can't properly continue on. And you also get Ellie's frustrations there because it's just like, well, why didn't you tell me before we made it this far? Like, I get Ellie's frustration, but still the right thing to do at this point would be this. And you can just see the moral gray area of this all. The frustration and just how much Ellie wants to continue on with this quest. But then anyways, you explore the theater while Blissful Spirits plays on in the background. And you know what? I might actually try to play a clip of it here. It just has this haunting atmosphere to it. It really adds a lot to every scene. It just has this feeling of pain and just rage, and I just love the use of it throughout. There's some other stuff I forgot to mention this day one, but I love how they set up the Sarah fights without showing you them yet. It shows that they're an enemy that's getting built up to really well. It shows the muzzle that they all worship. Everything at the TV station, I think those guys are really well set up too. There's also some dialogue of Ellie talking to Dina about to bail from the first game, and that's a nice throwback. So I love so smart touches, but as Ellie explores the movie theater, it's raining, just the sound of it all, the look of it, it's just so atmospheric. You eventually go down to the theater itself, and Ellie picks up a guitar and just the do 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 do. As soon as she plays it again, I just feel myself, feeling welled up with emotion. She's thinking of Joe in that moment. At this point, so much has happened with Leah and Ellie discovering that Dina's pregnant, and Dina discovering that Ellie is immune, that it could be easy with everything that's happening in this moment for us to forget about Joe for a few minutes. And then she just picks up the guitar and it just reminds you. It reminds you of the pain she's in. And not as much as what comes next, though, because then we get a flashback of a few years ago, and Ellie's playing guitar, and Joe approaches her. And this scene, oh my goodness, I would love to play this entire section. The truth is, it's far too long to do that. But just every note of this scene is perfection. Ellie and Joe are behaving in ways that only they would. Their relationship is clearly good at this point. That there's a love between the two of them. Joe taught Ellie how to swim. The jokes they make between the two of them. Joe just seems like a happy guy. He's pushing Ellie into the water, joking around. Ellie's making all these guesses as to what Joe's surprising her with. And it's just when you play this section, you're just reminded of what you lost. That Joe is gone. So in some ways, this is the happiest, most feel-good moment of the entire game. But because of that, because Joe is gone, this entire moment, as funny and as happy as it is, it's got this underlying tragedy to it. that Joe is gone. It's got this underline of depression, of rage, and it's an absolute brilliant scene that is just feels so authentic to the characters that I absolutely love. I'm gonna play a clip of some of my favorite moments of this flashback. So here we go.
What are you doing? Ellie, be careful.
I'm climbing a dinosaur!
Yeah, I can see that. Just don't die falling off of one.
Look at me! I'm on a motherfucking dinosaur!
Whoa, 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 what are you doing? Don't jump. Just climb down.
Ah!
Hey, hey!
Oh, hello. Sorry, the dinosaurs are busy right now.
What are you doing?
Oh, wait. One of the dinosaurs is here. Joel, it's for you.
Very funny.
That is pretty funny. Did you get it? It's because you're old.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Happy birthday, kiddo.
What is this?
This is a thing that took a mighty effort to find. Take it. Close your eyes. It'll be worth it.
Okay.
Seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
I do okay.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You're welcome, kiddo.
I love it. Just how full of life Ellie was at this point. She climbs up the dinosaur. I'm on a motherfucking dinosaur, and she jumps off, or she's in the office and she's like, oh yeah, the dinosaurs are busy. Oh wait, here comes a dinosaur now. It's for you. And she's just like, get it because you're old. And just the way they talk, the way they joke around. The one where, you know, they find a scar that's really thick, scarred, and Joe's just like, oh, reminds me of Tommy. It's just such a pure flashback. They go upstairs and Joe takes Ellie into basically the spaceship, and they lie there. He gives her a recording, and it's been set up in the first game that Ellie always wanted to go to space. And you remember those details because you love these characters so much. So in this moment, like, it's just nice to see Ellie lying there. She's got the recording of the takeoff, and she just closes her eyes and she's imagining that she's taking off to space. Something that she can never do now. And it's such a sweet moment. Once that's done, Joe just turns to her and he's just like, did I do good? Are you fucking kidding me? It just shows that Joe's taking his relationship with Ellie so seriously, that he's putting all this thought into it, and his first thought was that after she was done listening to the tape, he just wanted to be reassured that he did good. It's so great. I love it. The flashback does end on a bit of a downer note. Well, the two get separated and Ellie's in this one section by herself where she finds the firefly symbols with the words Laurels. And you're just like, oh, is there going to be more to that? Is she going to find out anything? And no. But you can just kind of see that after that, she finds that the way that the two are with each other, they kind of feel distant again, just like that. That it's in the back of both of their minds. So what was a great pure moment of them being together and loving each other, they find that reminder, and it shows the effect that had on them. Just brilliant stuff. Love that entire flashback. And then the next day, Ellie wakes up and Dina's upstairs in the theater. She's trying to find Tommy. She's listening to the Wolves radio, and she tells Ellie that she should check out Hillcrest. So Ellie does, and I love this entire Hillcrest section. First, I'll mention briefly that if you pay attention to the notes, you get this great story of this man named Boris and his daughter, and kind of what happened when the military took over, when the groups formed, and how some people were left behind. It's a really great story. I love reading it every time I play it. You make your way through all these different sections. This is when you get the bow and arrow, which I love using. You face wolves with their dogs, which is really intense. The dogs make it a bit more difficult because they can track you and they're harder to kill, but I love fighting them. But then you come across this one section where there's like a bunch of houses you can go in and out of. There's a bunch of enemies, a bunch of dogs. And this is just the most fun section to play. You can go about it so many different ways. You can, it is just beyond fun. I love this entire section so much. You can try being stealth and then going on head-to-head combat. You can try using the bow and arrow to kill the dog silently, but then the person who's with them notice, so then you gotta take them out quietly too. Oh my god, this entire section is just so much fun. But then anyways, you leave that section, you enter another section, and you're following this smoke, thinking that's where Tommy's going to be, and you're kind of running through all these different sections. You go down into this basement, there's smoke everywhere, you take out these guys, you go upstairs, there's someone who comes in and tries to attack you, you shoot them, you keep running, and you can hear everyone being like, he went this way. You jump down, and then it turns out it's Jesse. And I love that. It feels true to his character because it's already been established that he's a loyal guy, that he would do something like this. And yeah, that he would kind of follow his two best friends to do this quest with them. So anyways, you make out of Hillcrest with Jesse in this really some cinematic feeling sequence where you guys take a vehicle, you guys are getting chased, and then you guys get attacked by all these different clickers, and it's this thrilling sequence. You guys go underwater, and it's awesome. I love this moment. It's really fantastic stuff. And anyways, you make your way back to the theater, and Dina's just like, oh, Jesse. And she's really happy that Jesse's there. But even though Ellie's happy that Jesse's there, we have a flashback, and it kind of shows that she kind of wished it was Tommy, that she has come to kill for Tommy. And you get this scene where Tommy's teaching her how to snipe. And it's this really great moment because at the time it just feels like, okay, it's a nice throwaway moment with Tommy. You get to spend some time with him. But the way that it sets up how Tommy snipes for later on in the game when you're playing as Abby is really brilliant. But then he kind of addresses the fact that her and Joel are growing more distant and they're growing apart, and you know that they should do something about it. So then Tommy kind of makes it so then Joel can take her to a part of town to get some strings for her guitar. I love that Tommy does that because it also shows how much he's come to care for Joel as well in the past few years. So then you go over to this music store with Joel, and just the way you guys talk on the way there, it just shows you how much Joel has started to care for Ellie. How he started doing all these things that Joel hasn't done before in the past. I don't know how he's reading the comic books that she likes, so he has a better sense of what she likes, and he asks her questions about her day and all that. And Ellie's a bit more distant at this point, and you can see that Joel's trying, but a few moments he's one hole over. And then anyways, you make your way through a hotel with Joel where you get attacked by this bloater, and this is another one of those scenes where it just feels like, oh, you're sneaking behind a wall, and oh, nope, jump scare, and you get attacked by this big dude, this big bloater, and I love that, I really do. And anyways, there's this great sequence where you're fighting it, and you can't really beat it until you eventually start getting attacked by it. And then as soon as the bloater starts attacking Ellie, Joe just comes in and starts beating him senseless with machete, and you can just tell how much like he doesn't want Ellie to ever be in danger. But anyways, then you make your way out of that section and you come across two dead bodies about these two people who once lived in Jackson. They both got infected, and he shot the girlfriend, but he couldn't shoot himself because he thought of himself as a coward, and I'll play the clip here.
Jackson is a wonderful place, but we got tired of hearing the stories of people suffering everywhere else. We wanted to save lives. We had good intentions. We didn't make it an hour before running into a horde. Now we're bitten. We've decided we're gonna end our lives instead of turning. Please tell our family and friends that we're sorry. Love, Adam and Sydney. I shot her. I can't take my own life. I'm a fucking coward. Adam.
Jesus.
If only they were immune, right?
Well, let's go get Tommy and we can get these bodies back to Jackson. Yeah.
After you took me out of the Firefly Hospital, you said there were dozens of people like me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they told me.
I've never met another immune person before. Have you?
I could be hiding it. You do.
Do you believe that?
Is now really the time for this?
We traveled across the entire country to bring me to the Fireflies. I had so many questions for them. Why did you pull me out of there while I was still unconscious?
Because I let them run their tests. And when I saw that they were useless, I got us out of there.
How do you know they were useless? Maybe if you just would have given them more time, they could have figured something out.
There was no cure. There's nothing that could help these people or anybody else. I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different. But they ain't. And we need to get these kids back to their families. Is there something else you'd like to rehash?
No.
Good. Come on.
I just love how that clip shows that this stuff is still in the back of their minds. After all these years, it's still a separation between the two of them. Really well done stuff. But then anyways, we go back to Seattle Day 2, and at this point, Ellie's going to try to track down Noah to the hospital where she is, and I love this entire section. I love Ellie Seattle Day 2 is my favorite. I love the Hillcrest section and all the gameplay sections coming up. I love. First of all, I love the workbench section where you go up to a workbench like you normally would and then you get beaten up. I love that. It's such a subversion of expectations in the best kind of way, and I love that. I love how you eventually make your way to the comic convention, which right beforehand you get that beautiful view in the hotel, which I'll play here, but I just love that atmosphere. It just draws you in. You eventually come across all these different stalkers in this building, and this section is so thrilling and intense, and oh my goodness, every time I play it, I just get goosebumps. It's just so difficult and it's so creepy, and I love it. I really, really do love it. I think it's so much fun, and it's just one of the most intense and thrilling sections in the entire game. And then you go into the next section, which is also thrilling and intense, but then eventually you go down into the river, you wash up, you go up next to this park where you first get attacked by the Seraphites. And before you get attacked by them, you hear this whistle, and it's just like, doo. I can't whistle, otherwise I would in that moment. And you're just like, shit! And you start getting cornered by them, and I love fighting the Seraphites. Just the use of their whistling and how they communicate with each other makes it all the more intense, and I love fighting them. And just the bow and arrow, it sucks when you have to like pull it out. It's really great stuff. But then you come against them again in this giant section where they're in this parking garage, they're in this forest, they're just everywhere, and it's so much fun. And if you listen to the way they talk, they're talking about one of the Seraphites named Lily, and I just love how that foreshadows plot points that come into play later, because Lily is Lev, and I just love the way that they set up in this one nice small moment. And it's really fantastic. It really, really is. I love this section. It might be the most fun section in the entire game. Just, there's so many different ways to do it, and it's so much fun. But you eventually make your way to the hospital. You go underwater, you go up, and you kill Whitney, who's playing the PS Vita. And my goodness, like, just look at the brutality of this scene.
Don't make a fucking sound. Hands up.
Easy. Easy.
Do you know a girl named Nora?
Sure, yeah.
Where is she?
In the hospital.
Where in the hospital?
Yeah, they're clearing out the upper floors. She's somewhere in there.
Like, Ellie's not wrong, that was stupid for her to do, but still, that's bloody. But anyways, you make your way up to the hospital, and I love this section. There's a dog, there's all these different ways to enter the hospital, there's a guy high up. You can go about this section in so many different ways, and it's so much fun. But you eventually make your way to Noah, where you hear that, wait, she let Abby escape? What? Whatever, it's just a small detail. You keep going about it, and I eventually come across Noah, and, I'll just play the scene here.
Don't scream. Put that shit down. You remember me? Yeah. You remember me.
What do you want?
Abby was here earlier. Where'd she go?
I don't know. You shoot me. The sound will have every soldier come running.
You'll still be dead. Tell me where she went and I'll think about letting you go.
We could have killed you.
Maybe you should have. Or maybe you should have stayed the fuck out of Jackson. Where's Abby?
You still hear his screams?
What?
I hear them every night. Yeah. Yeah, that little bitch got what he deserved.
You fucking...
I love that, because for a second I was just like, oh, is Noah gonna be very sympathetic? And then she's just like, no, that bitch got what he deserved. And you're just like, kill her, Ellie. Kill her now. You get this chase, you're chasing her throughout. You eventually make your way to the basement, what sounds like, just like, what are the lights doing on? Which is nice foreshadowing to later events. You eventually make your way to Noah, because you're in the basement, she can't breathe, and she's just struggling to breathe. Ellie walks over there because, you know, she's immune, she can breathe. And I love, yeah, I'll play this clip here.
Hi, Nora.
Oh, God.
Where's Abby?
You're breathing spores. You're her.
You Firefly?
There are no fireflies anymore.
Where's Abby?
I'm fucking dead anyway. Why would I tell you anything?
Because I can make it quick. Or I can make it so much worse.
Think about what he did. How many people are dead because of him?
Last chance.
I'm not giving up, my friend.
I love the way that Ellie says, hello, Noah. You know, it's just like Ellie's got the upper hand now, and she just sounds so sinister in that moment. I love it. And then she approaches Noah, and Noah's just like, you're whole. And I'm just like, oh, this is when Ellie's going to find out what happened in that hospital. But just the way the scene escalates about how Noah's just like, think about what he did. And I'm just like, Ellie's not asking a lot of questions. It seems like she knows what she's talking about. And I was just kind of confused by that. But then anyways, just the way Ellie talks to her. Noah's just like, I'm good as dead anyways. And Ellie's just like, yeah, but I can make your death quick, or I can make it slow and much more wars. It's just like, wow, Ellie's really going dark here. And then you're forced to beat her. And I don't know how I felt at that moment. Like minutes ago, I wanted to, but in this moment, I'm just like, I don't want to press square. And you just feel dirty. You feel wrong. So then anyways, you go back to the movie theater and you're covered in blood. Ellie's hands are shaking and you can just tell that she's traumatized. She tells them that Abby went to the aquarium. And you can just see that Ellie's shooken up. And I'm just going to play the next scene here.
Arms up.
I made her talk. It's okay. I don't want to lose you.
That is one of my favorite, most underrated moments in the entire game. It breaks my heart. Every time when I'm playing it, you can just see the physical toll this quest is having on Ellie. You can see that whole humanity is slipping away. And just the way she's just like, I made her talk. Ellie hates herself in this moment. The way that Dina's cleaning her up, she's there for Ellie. It also adds a nice warmth that Dina really does love Ellie, and it's such a sweet moment. But then we get another flashback, and I'm gonna play it here.
They said, even if we found her, or by some miracle found someone else that's immune, it made no difference. Because the only person who could develop a vaccine is dead. Or by some miracle found someone else that's immune, it made no difference. Found someone else that's immune, it made no difference. Because the only person...
Ellie! Come here. What the hell are you thinking? Running off in the middle of the night like that. You talk to me. You don't just leave me a goddamn note.
Tell me what happened here. If you lie to me one more time, I'm gone. You will never see me again. But if you tell me the truth, I'll go back to Jackson. No matter what it is. Just say it. Joel.
Making a vaccine would have killed you. So I stopped them.
Oh my God. Don't you fucking touch me! I'll go back. But we're done.
This entire scene is just so emotional. And I love the fact that Joel just tells her what he did in the most Joel way ever. He didn't just straight out and say it. He's just like, making a cure would kill you. so I stopped them. And just Ellie's response, and when Joel reaches out to her and she's just like, don't fucking touch me. I'll go back. But we're done here. And just Ashley Johnson's performance is heartbreaking, and the face on Joel, you know, he just knows that he lost her. And it's so emotional, and it, like I said, it recontextualizes the entire game, because you realize up until this point, like, you thought this was going to be the crest that makes Ellie find out. And no, she already knew. And she already destroyed that relationship, and it adds depth to what's happening. Anyways, so then you go about on this, the next day, going to the aquarium with Jesse. Well, the only reason why Jesse's going with you is so you can find Tommy. And just the conversations you have with Jesse, where it's just like, well, are you worried that some of these people would follow us back? And Ellie's like, no, what do you mean? Well, we followed them here because it's something that Joe did. And this is the only time that entire point's really brought up, but it serves as a key point. It's going to be this endless cycle. Joe killed someone, they kill someone over in Jackson, Ellie goes back to kill someone there, they could retaliate. It's this endless cycle, and it's really shown in just a small bit of dialogue while you're walking from one section to the next. Anyways, I love this entire section where it's raining, it's atmospheric, there's all these wolves and dogs out, and the way that you can sneak around them, it's so fantastic. You are up on this one section with the Ferris wheel, and I just love the visuals of this game. Like I said, like, the atmosphere just draws you in. I love it. But anyways, you come across this shopping mall, and you hear that there's this sniper, and Jesse's just like, I think that's Tommy, we should go. And Ellie's just like, no, I'm going after Abby. And Jesse's just like, I hope you find her. And you can just see that this quest is really dividing Ellie's relationships and the people she cares about. But anyways, you fight these people in the shopping mall, which I absolutely love. First, you can either go to the section to the left or to the right. There's other ways to do it. You can go about it in just so many different ways. You can go up on the bridge, then jump down, dive down under the one section. You can just... It's so much fun. I love this section. It is some of the best level design I've ever seen. It's so much fun. Anyways, then you go about in a motorboat, heading towards the aquarium, and I will say that this game is my favorite thing ever, but I will say that this motorboat can be a bit frustrating to use, but it feels probably accurate. And, you know, while you're going your way to the aquarium, you come across this group of sail fights, which are fun to fight. You can climb up to a monorail, which has a supernatural Easter egg. You eventually come across this bloater where you have to push this car, but then the ground below you crumbles, and you have to fight this bloater, so it's one of those another tense and thrilling moments. And you eventually make your way to the ocean, make your way to the aquarium where the boat flips over, and I love that moment. Also because all of a sudden the motor stops working and Ellie's trying to get it to be working again. Just like it's happened a few times on your way there, and this time it does flip over for good. You make your way to the aquarium, and this entire game is just dripping in atmosphere. You're trying to find them. You know, there's no lights, there's no signs that anyone's even there. But then eventually you go through a vent and you fall down, and this dog attacks you. You kill the dog, and then you find this room where there's broken glass on the floor, there's water everywhere, and then you hear people talking, and you see this door that's open slightly, well, light's coming in from. And you come across Mel and Owen, two characters that you would have recognized from earlier in the game.
People don't come back from that island.
How many times has Abby risked her life for you?
She chose this. I'm not fucking going there.
Then don't! Go back.
Fuck you, Owen.
Hands up. Where's Abby?
You're that girl from Jackson.
Tell me where she went.
How do we know you won't kill us?
Give her what she wants and we're dead.
You guys can survive this. I just need her.
Bullshit.
You. Come here.
Fucking get over here!
Point to where she is on this map. And then you... It better fucking match up.
Okay.
are you doing?
She's probably dead anyway.
It is not worth it.
Stop!
We can talk
Back
about
the fuck up! Point to where she is. Fucking point! Tell me where Abby is. Where the fuck is she?
Whoa. Hey. It's all right. Come on, let's go. Let's go. It's all right.
Ellie tries to do what Joel does to torture people. Like Tommy tried to torture someone earlier in this game. She's trying to be like Joel, and you can just see that she's not as good with it. She fumbles, she ends up shooting Mel and killing Owen, and they're lying on the ground, and Owen's just like pregnant, and Dina realizes that she just killed a pregnant woman. And Ellie's just... And the way that's even been set up to this point, about when you were playing with as Abby earlier on, that they tell you that Mel is pregnant. So it's foreshadowed earlier. And Ellie's just, she's in shock. And it's such an emotional moment. This crest is destroying her. She's doing terrible things. Tommy and Jesse come to her aid and they bring her back to the theater. I love that entire section. And then you're back at the movie theater, and just like you did before, you're actually behind the curtain of the movie theater, and I love how it sets up a future boss fight. But anyways, Jesse and Tommy are just like, okay, we're going back. Are you okay to leave Abby behind? And Ellie's like, I guess. There's some nice banter between the two of them, and then Tommy goes out to the other area. You're talking to Jesse, and once again, Jesse's just like the most stand-up dude. So when you hear a big thump and you both go racing into the other room, and Jesse gets shot dead in like 1 second, you're just like, oh my god. Holy shit. And Abby's got a gun pointed at Tommy. Ellie tosses away her gun, and you're just like, oh, this is so intense. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Abby's just like, we let you both live, and you wasted it. And I'm just like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then it cuts to black.
All right, how about, my friends can't get out of their own damn way?
It's better. Shit!
Jesse, stand up! Hands in the air, I shoot this one too.
Don't you do it, Ellie. Get out of here.
Stand up! Now!
Don't you fucking dare!
Shut the fuck up! Fuck. All right. Stop! Stop! Toss your weapon. Toss your weapon! Fuck.
No.
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did to save me. There is no cure because of me. I am the one that you want. Just let him go. killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it.
Dad!
And then comes the most controversial, the biggest risk taken in a video game. One of the boldest decisions ever made. And we get the words 5 years earlier. And you're playing as Abby. And let me be clear, the first time I played this game, I was just like, what the fuck? I wanted to toss my controller. I was furious. I wanted Abby to die. And just the fact that I was just like, oh, come on, don't you dare try to make me sympathize with her. I was mad. But I did keep playing it. You see the relationship that Abby has with Jerry, and it is a really sweet relationship. How Owen has always been a part of Abby's life, and eventually you find out that this is Salt Lake, because you see the big hospital, and Owen's just like, that girl that they're talking about, she's here. The one who's immune. And I'm just like, oh my god. We're back here 5 years earlier, but from a different perspective. And you find out that Marlene didn't want to do this to Ellie, but Jerry kind of convinced her. And Marlene's just like, well, what if it was Abby who was there? And it shows that Marlene wasn't just this evil person who wanted to kill Ellie. It gives her more humanity. A character who's only in this game for like 2 minutes. In the first game, like 10 minutes. She's given more humanity in this game. And then Abby comes in and it's just like, if it was me, I would have wanted you to do it. And you can tell that Jerry wouldn't do it if it was Abby. And it just puts things into perspective. See, it's so much easier to do when it's someone else's kid. Abby and Ellie are both like, yeah, if it was me, go ahead and do it. But the fathers can't. I think that says a lot. You then walk down that hallway as Abby and you find your father's dead body and Owen. And I'll be honest, it's heartbreaking. And it made me question lots of things in that moment. And then we see Abby killing Joe, and anytime I see that scene, I will cry, and it's just heartbreaking stuff. But I loved everything they just did. They show you what Abby has done, but it also shows you why she did it. So instead of just trying to paint it like Joe and Ellie good, Abby bad, instead it's just like, well, Joe and Ellie are the bad guys in Abby's story, and Abby's the bad guy in Joe and Ellie's story. So instead of just painting it black and white, they decide to go all gray. Everyone is a hero in their own story, and everyone else is a villain in their story. And you just really understand that. But then we see the words, Seattle Day 1, and I'm just like, Seattle Day 1? Ellie had 3 days in Seattle. They're not going to do 3 days with Abby in Seattle. They wouldn't. Would they? But you're walking around the stadium and you just see this community really come to life. You see people walking out, you see how the school system works. You really get a sense of who these people are. Just like how at the beginning of the game when you're Ellie walking around Jackson, it feels like that, but in a stadium. And you recognize all of these character models from when you were playing as Ellie, killing them. But you're seeing them here, being actual people. You know? They're not out trying to kill Abby in this moment. They're just standing around, telling jokes, talking to each other, getting in line for food. They're just being humans. And it just makes it so like everyone feels like an actual person and not just someone you have to shoot. And I love that. But anyways, you're walking around with Manny, and I really love Manny. He just has this distinct personality. He's very upbeat. He's got this energy to him. And just kind of like how Jesse is loyal to Ellie, Manny is loyal to Abby. He would never stab on the back. You can tell that he really cares for his friend, which I love. But anyways, you are going to the home base of the military operations of the Wolves. So you guys are getting a ride there with Mel. And I find that interesting because people are always just like, oh, why would Mel go out in the field when she's pregnant? She's not going out in the field. She's going to the base. My goodness, I swear, some people just can't pay attention to anything. But anyways, there's this clear awkwardness and this clear tension between Abby and Mel. You know, there's a past with Abby and Owen's with Mel, and it's going to be the dad of her kid. So you can just sense this awkwardness and all. But then they get attacked by the Seraphites who are attacking them on horses, which is badass, and I love it. And you end up crashing near a hardware store, and Then you go inside, you make your way out, and then after you escape the hardware store, there's this bit of conversation, and it's a very small piece of dialogue, but it's absolutely essential. Pretty much they're just talking about why the Seraphites are attacking them, about how they used to have a truce and now it's broken, and they're like, well, that's their fault. And then they're like, well, they only did that because we did this. Well, we only did that because they did that. Like some kids going onto the land who they kill in retaliation, and now they're attacking them in retaliation. And you can just sense this messiness. And this is so essential because I'm going to get a bit ahead of myself here, but Abby and Ellie are the Seraphites and the wolves on a small scale. And I say that because the entire time, by the end of Abby's story, she thinks it's Tommy who killed all of her friends. She thinks Tommy is her arch enemy. He thinks Tommy did everything that Ellie did. Ellie doesn't realize why Abby killed Joe. She thinks it's because that he damned the human race by saving her. So there's a complete miscommunication on who's doing what and why they're doing that, and it's just very messy. No one knows why they're actually doing anything. It just shows what happens when you replace, humanity and logic and just throw that away in exchange for rage and hate. And I think that Abby and Ellie's story is a representation of the Seraphites and Wolves story. They're just on a much bigger scale. And I just think that's some brilliant writing. But anyways, then you go inside this big area, there's a boat in the middle, and I just kind of like the fact that Abby and Mel are talking about how it's just like Owen's boat. So when you see Owen's boat later, you're just like, oh yeah, it is like that boat we saw earlier. But then anyways, you escape that section, you're out free, then... Okay, so there's a safe nearby, and it says that the code to the safe is the code for the big win. And there's a picture on the trailer that shows this guy catching a fish with like a date on it. So I thought that date was the safe code, but it's not. It's if you zoom really hard onto this lottery ticket on the wall, that's the code for the safe. Every time I get to that section, I always do it wrong. But anyways, then you make your way to this train yard and you fight the Seraphites, and it's this great fun action moment. Then you go to a gas station where you're getting overwhelmed, but then you get saved by the wolves, and you guys make your way to the home base. You guys are walking around, and then you come across Whitney, which if you don't remember who she is, she was that girl who was playing the PS Vita that Ellie brutally murdered. And it's just like, oh, her name is Whitney. I like knowing her name. Okay, she seems like a nice person. You don't see her for much, but you do see her. And anyways, you make your way throughout this base, and you find out that Owen killed one of their own. That he killed a man named Danny. So then he's being wanted by the wolves. So Abby and Manny go and see Isaac, who... on your way to see Isaac, you see all these Seraphites in cages. They're getting they look awful. You can just tell they're doing inhumane things to them. But you make your way to Isaac, and when Isaac reveals himself, I'm just like, no fucking way, that's Jeffrey Wright. I love Jeffrey Wright. And boy, just his introduction, it's so menacing. And it's just so interesting to see Isaac now, because if you play as Ellie and you read all the notes, he gets mentioned so often. And just to see him, you don't see him often in this game, but Jeffrey Wright still makes it so the character leaves an impression. But anyways, Abby's pretty much just like, I want to go after Owen, and Isaac's like, no, you can't. We're going to attack the Seraphite Island in 2 days when it's supposed to be really rainy. And I'm just like, oh, right, because it was really rainy on Ellie Seattle Day 3. So, okay. So they're getting ready for this big attack, and anyways, and then we get a flashback. And it's a flashback that I really love.
I'm gonna kill you.
What?
Seriously, stop it.
All right. Why don't you come on over and enjoy this view with me then?
It's great. It's the best.
Oh. Come on. We made it all the way up here just so you could wimp out on the last 2 steps?
Yeah. Yes, deal was to get up here, so.
All right, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get your ass over here, sit on the edge, Or you can go down here on the kid seat and look at this view with me.
We can't miss training.
Really? Not even just for one night?
No.
Can we talk about it?
It's getting late.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't. Do not. It is too high.
Oh my God. You know, I don't think I can live like this anymore, Abby.
Owen, I'm serious. I will break up with you. Owen.
I always loved you.
Don't! Owen!
Abby!
I'm down here, you asshole.
You jumped? And I missed it?
I thought you drowned.
And you came to my rescue?
No. I came to make sure you drowned.
I found something pretty awesome.
What?
I think you're gonna have to follow me to see it.
Owen, we have to go back.
We will, once you see this.
Owen,
What are they gonna do? Kick out a bunch of displaced fireflies who have nowhere else to go?
maybe? I don't want to find out.
Just come see this thing. Take a deep breath.
It's Abby and Owen, and they're on a Ferris wheel, and they're just floating around. Owen's on the edge of the Ferris wheel, getting ready to jump, shaking it, and Abby's like, no. Like, she's afraid. And I really do like the fact that Abby collects coins like Ellie collects comic books, and how she has a feel of height, and how that's shown at the very beginning of the game, how it's shown here, how it's shown later in the game. But just the fact that everyone has common feels and things that they collect, it just shows how we have lots of things in common. It might not be like the exact same thing. She collects coins, not comic books, but they still collect something. So I like that. But anyways, Abby's afraid of heights, but then Owen jumps and she's afraid he might have gotten hurt. So then she jumps off too. They land, they float a bit, and I just love the music that plays here. I already talked about my other review, but I love Allowed to Be Happy. Because it just sounds like the title of the song. It just sounds like, are we allowed to be happy after everything that has happened? And just as you play, as that song plays in the background as you're swimming with Owen, it just leaves a haunting feel. This was years ago. Even in the beginning of the game, you can tell that your relationship with Owen isn't what it is in this moment. And it just feels like that is gone. Kind of like how when you're Ellie and you play, and you go to the flashbacks at the museum, how the museum scene should be this amazing feel-good moment, but it's just got that tragic undertone that just makes you feel sad. And that's the same case here. You just know that things are different now between you and Owen. And it's just sad. You make your way throughout the aquarium and, he's got this childlike wonder. He doesn't want to do all the fighting. He wants to enjoy life. He's sick and tired of it all, even at this point. And Abby's pretty insistent that she goes out and trains, and here, I'll play the clip here.
Wow.
Yeah. see that? Told you they were spotted.
Yeah, yeah.
You want me to slow down?
No.
Is it this? It's this, isn't it? You are disgusted by it. Come on, Ab.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Talk to me.
I know all the leads have dried up. But Joel's still out there, you know?
I know. What can I do?
Let's go back. We can still make training.
You go ahead.
What about you?
I'm gonna hang out with the SEALs for a little while.
I'm sorry.
I told you already. Don't be sorry.
It just shows that Abby wasn't able to move on with what happened to her dad. She wasn't able to move on. Just like how Ellie wasn't able to move on. Like, there's this event where Joel saved Ellie and killed people in the process. And how that one event affected so many different relationships over the years. And you can just see that Abby's pushing herself away from Owen. She wants to be ready for the day that she comes face to face with Joel. And it just shows like her actual body build, like the fact that she's as big as she is, actually has a role in her character and the way she's written. It shows how she just stopped enjoying herself and just dedicated every waking moment to being fit, to being ready to fight. And I love how it's showcased in that moment. Owen isn't being a dick about it. He's just like, go ahead and go. But you can see that he's upset about it. And you can see how that really affected their relationship over the years. Just like how the same event affected Joel and Ellie's relationship over the years, but for different reasons. Just so much depth on display. But anyways, Manny's helping you get going. So you make your way to, making your way towards Owen. You follow the sunlight. Like, that's how you know where you're going, and I love that. But eventually you come across some baddies, some Sarah fights in like a bookstore, in a grassy field. There's a cafe. There's a 2-story building there too. It's a lot of fun to get to this section. I love it. And then you keep going and you come across these 2 buildings which are like tilted up against each other, and you can jump between the 2 buildings. And this section is so much fun. There's just going between the 2 buildings, the different levels, the different way you can approach this level. It's just a ton of fun. But then anyways, you get knocked out by this big girl. Like, actually, hold on. I almost didn't mention something. You're getting beaten down by this girl, and Abby's first response is to bite off a body part. She bites off her ear. And that is some great foreshadowing to what happens later. I love that. It just shows that, yes, I think that's absolutely brilliant. But then we get another flashback, and Abby is out to see Owen, and he just Christmas the aquarium up, and I love seeing it. And you do this little bow and arrow challenge, which is really sweet. But then you go upstairs, and well, this scene plays.
What is all this? Festive.
You gotta get the full effect. Have a seat. Take in that view. try that. Well?
The view is nice.
Oh, whatever. Philistine.
You want me to lie?
Yes, obviously. She's into this Christmas thing, and it's our 1 year, so.
I think it's adorable.
I think you can go fuck yourself.
No, I wish someone loved me enough to make me a stocking.
You don't deserve one.
What, a stocking? Or someone who loves me?
Why are you in such a good mood?
Am I?
You should blow off training tonight. Abby, when the moon comes
I
out...
found Joel's brother. He's at a settlement out in Wyoming.
How do you know that?
Some fireflies who served with him got picked up at the wall.
I thought he quit like a decade ago.
Yeah.
So, have these guys heard from him since?
It's a lead. I gotta see it through.
Okay, but you know that even if he is there, and you do find him, he might not know where Joel is, right? Did you tell the others?
Everyone's on board. Mel included. We can leave next week.
Isaac's never gonna let that many people go off base.
He already did.
Bullshit.
Who's more about justice than Isaac? He knows what Joel's done. Hey. We're doing this together, right?
Of course.
And I love that. I just love how Owen isn't happy about this. He isn't happy that Abby has a lead, because he knows it's not going to do anything for her. He's kind of hoping that it won't go forward. It is, so he still agrees to do it, but he's not fully on board. He's just doing it so he can be with Abby. And I just think Owen is a lot more complex than people give him credit for. And I love that. I know there was a complaint that and this is a complaint I understand, because you're going through the game and it builds and it builds and it builds. And this entire Abby day one up until this point, the pacing does slow down, but I view it as 3 different games. The game as a whole, Ellie Seattle day 1, day 2, day 3, and Abby day 1, day 2, day 3, and I think you need this downtime. Yes, when you're playing it, it does slow down, but I think it's absolutely essential to the telling of the story, because I think if you're playing as Abby and you just immediately fight a bunch of guys and it's very fast paced right off the bat, I don't think you've got the same weight behind it as you do when you take your time and you fully develop everything that's happening. So I'm okay with that. I know some people complain about it. It's not a complaint I have. I think it works just fine for the story being told. But then you wake up and you're getting taken into the forest by these cell fights, and let me just play the cutscene because holy fuck, it's brutal.
They are nested with sin. Free them, that they may know mine. Yara! Where is the other apostate? Clip her wings.
Yara. Demons are coming. Cut her down. She's one of them.
Lev.
Just the way it looks when Yara's arm gets smashed. Holy shit. Wow, that looks brutal. But anyways, you're in the forest, you're gonna fight off all these stalkers. In this section, I always have difficulty with. Like, I find it to be very hard. But you make your way throughout the forest. And I love the atmosphere here. It's just dark, it's very poorly lit. You can barely see a thing. You know, make your way through this forest. It's dark, it's rainy. And eventually, you come across this abandoned house. And this is the most difficult section of the game. So you let Lev and Lara get out, and you are basically stuck in this abandoned building, and all these clickers and bloaters come in, shamblers, whatever. And oh my goodness, like, this is the sequence that I die the most at. It is difficult, it is intense, it is a terrifying moment. And every time I get out of it, I'm just like, oh my god, thank god. But you make your way out of it, you take Lev and Yara to your trailer to make sure they're okay, and then you're ready to go your separate ways. You make your way through this field of clickers and runners, and I always just book it and get a bunch of them chasing after me. And then while I was doing this, I noticed that it was raining a lot, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. This is day 1, right? This isn't day 3, because it looks pretty stormy now. But then I remember, no, Ellie day 1, she gets to the theater and it starts storming, so yes. But anyways, this entire moment is super atmospheric. You make your way through this boat where there's a bunch of clickers and it's really intense and really thrilling. Then you eventually make your way to the aquarium where you're looking for Orin, and you gotta break a window to get in. And I love that, because when you're Ellie and you get to the aquarium, you notice that there's a broken window and a bunch of rain on the floor. And now you see how that came to be. I just think I just really like that. I really do. But you find Owen and he's in the boat and he's just, you know, I'm just going to play as a saint. So here you go.
That's fucking cruel. Isaac sends you after me.
He didn't. What is all this?
Gotta take her apart if I'm gonna fix her back up.
I see.
Want some?
Pass.
Suit yourself.
Danny's dead.
Figured.
You want to tell me what happened?
We were cleaning out a small camp. It's just a couple scars, and I hit this one on the head. Hard. And he goes down, and his weapon's right there. And he doesn't go for it. Instead, he turns to me. And he's old. And tired. He was just ready. I've killed a lot of scars. And, fucking guy. I couldn't do it. Of course, Danny gets in my fucking face about it. I told him I'm done. He can do it himself if he wants. And he points his fucking gun at me. So I grab it, and then... First, I didn't even know which one of us was shot.
You defended yourself.
Stop.
I can fix this. I'll talk to Isaac.
I am tired, Abby. I don't want to fight over land that I don't give a fuck about anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to end it there. I'm not going to keep it going. I know some people are upset that there's a sex scene in this game, but it's just like, who cares? Get over it. But anyways, I just love how that really paints Owen as a person. He's just tired of the fighting. He's exhausted. He's done with it. He just wants to live life. And it's true to everything that we've seen of him up until this point. And I just really love that. And it also shows how now that Abby is, you know, she's done what she's waited to do all those 5 years, how she is allowing herself to have a relationship with Owen. But anyway, she has this nightmare that night and she feels like she has to help the two Seraphites out, Lev and Laura. So she goes back the next morning, and on your way there, you find all these people in the field, and I always find this moment to be tricky too. Like, I died quite a bit in this moment too. Thank God I don't play this game on permadeath, because I would not make it very far. As much as I love this game, I do still die a lot. But anyways, you go to see Lev and Laura, and boy, y'all's arm, like, it's like red. Like, it looks messed up. So then anyways, you make your way back to the aquarium with Souls 2, and you find out that she has to have her arm amputated. So Abby decides, well, Mel tells Abby that she has to go to the hospital and pick up some supplies. And then Abby and Lev head to the hospital. Lev knows a shortcut there. So you make your way through all these rabbits, and you guys are just talking to each other, asking questions. You know, it turns out Lev has a fear of the ocean but loves sharks. And just like how Abby's afraid of heights, the two can bond over their common fears. The fact that everyone has a fear really humanizes them. You fight some clickers in this cafe, which is a lot of fun. You then fight some Seraphites in this one level of a building, which is a lot of fun. And during that time, they call Lev Lily. And at the time, it's just like, why would they do that? And you start to realize what's going on there, that Lev used to be named Lily, but he goes by a different name now. So then you start to realize what's going on there. You then make your way to the top of this building, which is unfinished, and there's just scaffold and plywood there, and it's like an unfinished construction building, and that fight area is a lot of fun. And once you're done it, just look around. The visuals are incredible. Just seeing the Ferris wheel, just everything, it's incredible. But you make your way into this elevator where you go up, and you just start to feel the height that you're going at. Like, it's incredible. Like, it really freaking is. And then you cross from this building into the next one through this bridge, which is really just a giant crane. And I think this was the moment that I started to like Abby, because I just realized that by this point, I was really invested in her story. And just crossing this crane, like, I was just like, please don't fall, please don't fall, please don't fall. And just the fact that I was hoping that she doesn't fall, that she makes it, this was a moment in which I was really won over. And it's intense. Like, my palms are sweaty every time I play it. It's insane how well they captured that feeling of vertigo and just that fear of heights. And they're almost done, and then Lev is just like, oh, so what's going on between you and that guy Owen? And I thought that was a really funny moment that just brought some levity to it. Then you go against this other bridge, and you can see the hospital in the background. You're making your way through it, and you're making your way. And once again, like, you just feel the height. You really do. But then Abby slips, and I'm just like, ah, shit, I died. Oh, no, this is meant to happen. And you fall into this pool, and you gotta make your way down this hotel building, which is one of my favorite sequences in the entire game. It is absolutely terrifying. You gotta creep through this level in this hotel to get a mask for Lev so he can breathe when you're going down this hotel. And I just love that. I just thought this moment with the stalkers was really intense and scary. And then you go through the entire hotel as it's completely falling apart. And I love it. I freaking love this moment. Like, it is the scariest section in the entire game. I think I said that about another section, but no, this is the scariest section in the entire game. You're just walking, then all of a sudden, you know, there's all this mold on the walls, and then the zombies, while the clickers pop out of it and start attacking you, and you're just like, oh my goodness. So you're just always on full alert. And they will pop out here or there or everywhere. There's levels filled with clickers. It is intense and terrifying as hell. It really is. I love this entire moment. I feel like it's a moment that's not talked about enough in the game. Going down this hotel is freaking terrifying. But I love it so very much. You make your way to the hospital and you see all the people there. You know, all the people that you eventually kill, but that you've already killed as Ellie is there. You see Whitney that you've already met as Abby that you know Ellie kills. But then anyways, it turns out that Isaac marked Abby as going AWOL and she gets arrested, but then Noah lets her go. And Abby asks for some supplies. Noah's like, okay, you gotta go downstairs. So Noah leads Abby to where she needs to go. So this is why earlier in the game when you were playing as Ellie, you hear people say that Noah let her go. I thought that was really great foreshadowing. But there's a thing that the wolves say, and it's just like, I think, oh my goodness, what is it? May your death be swift. And this time, instead of Abby saying, may your death be swift to Noah, she says, may my death be swift. Because she just expected to die. And it just shows, because Noah didn't die quickly. She was brutally tortured by Ellie. And I think that's, I think it's such a small moment, but it's really fantastic. But you're Abby, you're looking for all these supplies down here, and then there's this big wumbo in this room, and you start to turn on your hearing mode, and you can just see the shape of something big. You're like, huh. This entire section is really creepy, but you eventually turn the power, which is foreshadowed earlier when you're playing as Ellie, and you go down into the hospital basement, and someone's like, who turned the power on? Surprise, it was Abby. And anyways, you fight some clickers. Some of those people, you know, clickers that, stalkers are attached to this bit of mold that pop out at you are still in this section, which is really terrifying. But then you get to this moment where you just see the door where you heard some sound behind earlier. You just see this huge, like, something huge just left at. And it's really creepy to look at. And there's a trail of blood. And it's just, builds tension incredibly well. Incredibly well. But anyways, then you decide to look for supplies in the ambulance, you find some, and then you start hearing a sound, and I'm just going to play the clip.
Get ready to celebrate.
This giant freaking creature is attacking you. It's a rat king. Basically, a rat king is when rats get so wrapped up with each other's tails that they become one giant evil looking rat. I didn't know it was actually a thing, but yeah, it's a thing. And that's what happened with these clickles. They were just on top of each other, and eventually they grew into each other and formed this giant monster, and it's terrifying looking. It is so terrifying. This moment is just, oh my goodness, like it is a terrifying moment that just gets your heart pumping. It's not super difficult. I actually beat the Rat King. Like, I usually only die once with the Rat King. I beat it pretty quickly usually, so that's good. But there's also this super cool moment where some of the stalker attached to him grows apart, and you can't beat him until you beat the Rat King. I just think that's some incredible design, some incredible, just everything about the Rat King I just think is the coolest freaking thing. It's a terrifying monster, but they put a lot of thought into it. Anyways, you eventually escape, you eventually beat the Rat King, you escape and beat the other stalker thing, and this entire section is lots of fun. It's terrifying, and I hate doing it every time, but it is fun. Then you end up leaving the hospital, and right before you leave the hospital, I'm going to mention something, because I don't mean to rain on anyone's parade, but people always say that, oh, I love how when you're Ellie torturing Noah, you can hear Abby fight the Rat King. And you can definitely hear a sound, but it's not Abby fighting the Rat King. There was no chance in hell that it is. You can tell because when you leave the hospital as Abby, everyone is still out front. So, yeah. Sorry to be that guy, but I'm known to be that guy. It would be cool if it was, but I'm perfectly fine that it isn't. But you make your way back, Laura gets her surgery, and she's going to be A-okay. So before I continue going, I just want to talk about why the 11-year-old storyline is so important. And what it is that it encompasses all the main ideas of this game about rage and hatred and empathy. Because basically, the wolves hate Seraphites. Abby was trained to hate every single Seraphite. She was trained to hate people just like Devon and Yala. But their lives were in danger, and she decided to rescue them and to help them out, and she created a bond between the two of them with her. And that's pretty much what we're doing with Abby. As Abby learns to like people who she was supposed to hate, we're learning to like Abby, who we were supposed to hate. And I just think that is some brilliant storytelling. But Yala's surgery went good. Mel then goes out and tells Abby that she's a piece of shit. And people hate Mel for this moment, but she's not entirely wrong. At this point, the game knows that we have come to like Abby, and it stops and reminds you that she is indeed a piece of shit. That she tortured and brutally killed Scars for years. And now suddenly she's come around and liked two of them and thinks that redeems all the awful stuff she has done. For goodness sakes, she's having sex with Mel's boyfriend, soon to be the father of her child. Abby's not a great person. I'm not saying Owen's a great person either. But it's just clear that you can't just do one good thing for a person and think that redeems you. Because Abby obviously didn't feel better after she killed Joel, and she obviously needed something to help her get rid of that guilt, and Lev and Yala was how she did that. But just because you help two people, it doesn't redeem a lifetime of awful actions you've done. So it just makes you question things like, well, what can? Like, is Abby just... should she ever be able to be forgiven? Should she ever be able to live a happy life? The game doesn't provide any answers, but it makes you think about it. And I think there's a lot of depth in Leon's sale, but Lev and Yaw get into it because Lev wants their mom to come with them, but Law's like, no, our mom wouldn't. She's a hardcore Seraphite. Don't even try. So then Lev runs off and Yaw and Abby go after him, and they're just walking around and they come across Alice and they play catch with Alice. And I just want to say, I like how the dogs are used, because in the beginning of the game when you're at Jackson, there's some dogs there that Ellie likes, and then when you're in Seattle, you have to fight and kill dogs, including Alice at one point, even another dog called Bill at the hospital that Abby played catch with earlier. And at this point, you're forming a bond with Alice, and it shows that just everything in this game isn't black or white. It's just people doing good things or bad things, and people attacking and defending, and it just shows the messiness of it all really well. You know, Alice is an adorable dog, and she gets killed by Ellie earlier, later on in this point, but you know what I mean. So I just like that. You do walk around, and it does get revealed that Yev was once named Lily, and now he identifies as a male and goes by the name Lev. Which, I'll be honest, like, people who know me know I'm not big into that kind of stuff, but also the game doesn't shove it down your throat. Instead, it just shows the humanity of the character, and it says, this is the way the character is. I think they handled it very well. But anyways, you're looking for a gift to get Yev, and eventually Owen comes up to you, and he's basically just like, can I talk to you alone for a moment? And he's just like, we're going to go see if the Fireflies are rebanding. And Abby's just like, I can't go. And Owen's just like, look, I know it's a mess, but we can be happy. And I'm just going to play this moment real quick.
She couldn't tell I was joking. I suck with kids.
Yeah.
They really like you, though. So, coming to Santa Barbara, right?
I can't.
Why?
You know why.
We can figure this out.
It's too late.
No, it isn't. Look, I know. I know it's a fucking mess. I know. But we can choose to be happy. Happy. We're allowed to be happy.
I love that moment because it just showcases the idea of allowed to be happy. Are they allowed to be happy? Right now, Owen is the villain in Mel's story, the hero in Abby's story. Once again, that showcases a different perspectives. But are they allowed to be happy if it causes pain to someone else? Are they? If Abby just forgave Joel and just tried to live her life here without going after him, she could have been happy with Owen. But she didn't. She went on and killed Joel. She couldn't get over it. And because of that, Owen grew apart from her and he ended up with Mel. So it's just like, are you allowed to be happy when it's causing direct pain to someone else? And I think there's a lot of depth and nuance here. And plus, I just love the music. The music in that clip sounded very different from the actual track. And I wish that version was on the soundtrack too, because I would listen to that all the time too. It's just a great piece of music. But anyways, then you find that Lev took a boat and he's going to go try to save the mom. And Doll's like, she will kill him. So then Owen's just like, okay, we'll go and get them. Mel, you stay here. And Abby's like, no, Owen, get your priorities straight. We'll go after them. You get this boat ready. And Abby leaves. And we know that's the last time they ever see her.
We'll head him off. We'll grab a boat from the marina.
Hey, she just had surgery. I'm fine.
How else am I gonna find him?
I'll go with you.
Owen?
They're heading to the fucking island.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna let her go by herself.
Actually, you are.
I can help.
Yeah, by staying here and fixing the fucking sailboat. Get your priorities straight. Yara, let's go.
Just like how Ellie treated Joel like crap over the past couple of years, Abby's last thing she said to Owen, the last thing she did to him, she was being a dick. And just like how Ellie has that guilt, Abby's going to have that guilt too. I just love the parallels between the two different stories. But anyways, Abby and Yara are making their way towards the docks, and then all of a sudden, well, first, Abby's like, okay, Lala, wait for me here, I'll be back. Then Abby goes up, and then she runs into Manny, and they start getting sniped by this guy. And this is a really fun section, and then you make your way to this parking garage, and he finds a way to draw all the zombies to you, well, all the clickers to you. And this moment is just a ton of fun. And, well, like, it's a spoiler review, I've already given up, but I just love how it's Tommy. Like, that stuff was set up when Tommy was training Ellie how to shoot. Just some brilliant foreshadowing. But anyways, you chase Tommy, you're making your way towards him, and then he goes into a room, he blocks it off, so you and Manny go on the other way. And then just like how Abby shot Jesse without a single warning, Jesse just died like that, Tommy shoots Manny just like that. It just happens so suddenly, and it's shocking. And you're just like, holy shit. Like, I got the same impact I got from Jesse's death from Manny's death. But then you keep trying to run away, and then Tommy attacks you, and that's the first time you see it was Tommy. The first time I played this game and I realized it was Tommy in this moment, fucking incredible. Like, so perfect. And this entire moment is really great, and then I love, like I said earlier, Abby realizes why he's there, and she realized that she created another cycle. And it's weird because she thinks that he's the one that did everything that Ellie did. Love it.
You alright?
Yeah.
Manny.
Screw it.
Yeah. Who was that?
Shit. It doesn't matter. Let's get Lev and get back to the aquarium.
But anyways, they make their way to the island, and I just love how you see the Seraphites land. You see all the different wood carvings they work on, just the way the community lives, and just going through this village is just so much fun. There's this one section where you can go underwater and go up by this one tent little area, or you can sneak in the grass, and just a lot of fun. Love it. Then you go to this other area where there's all this overgrown corn, and you can shoot guys and then just lose them in the corn, and it is a ton of fun as well. But then you eventually make your way to Lev and y'all's mom, and I'll just play the clip here.
Oh, thank God. Did she do this?
I just tried talking to her. I tried to make her understand. But she just kept yelling. She started chasing me. Trying to make her stop. I was just pushing her off of me. She hit the table.
Listen. You were defending yourself. You did nothing wrong.
Like, there's so much going on with Ellie's tragic story and Abby's tragic story, but Yev and Laura have a tragic story too. Like, they're part of this cult for so long, and they then decide that they don't want to be a part of it. They want to live lives differently. They then get hunted by their own people. And then Laura gets brutally injured. She loses an arm. And Lev just wants to save the mom. You know, he doesn't want to leave her behind. In an attempt to try to reason with her, she tries to kill him, and he's forced in a position where he has to kill her. Like, how tragic of a story is that? Having to kill your own mom? That is... Everybody has a lot going on. You know, it's like I said earlier in this game, when Ellie and Dina are talking, you expect Ellie and Joel the only one to have gone through a lot. And Dina starts talking, and you're like, no, she's gone through a lot too. Same thing with Lev and Law. They've gone through a ton too. Speaking of which, you eventually get attacked by a bunch of wolves, where y'all then get shot. And I'll just play the clip here.
This way.
Got one!
Abby?
Yara! Yara, get up! Yara, please!
We need to move.
Come on! I can't leave her here! Stay back! Drop it! Now!
Holy shit.
It's Abby! Stay back!
Stand down.
Isaac.
What the hell are you doing?
I need you to hear me out.
What's that behind you?
He saved my life.
Move out of the way. We'll deal with you back home.
He's not one of them, please.
Abby, move.
God damn it, he's just a kid!
You have 3 seconds to get away from that scar. 1.
You really gonna shoot me?
2.
I'm not fucking moving.
No! What the fuck?
Look, we need to move. She's gone. Oh my god, she's gone. Come on.
Those were your fucking people.
Hey, you're my people. Listen to me. We're gonna have to fight to get out of this, okay? And then I need you to show us to those boats. We don't let anybody stop us. Yeah? Okay. Okay.
I love that line. You are my people now. That just says a lot. You know, she's not with the wolves. Laura's not with the Seraphites. They're just Abby and Yara. You're my people now. I love that line so much. And just the fact that Laura dies like that, it's sad. Like, you know, some people be like, oh, so the entire quest of, you know, you trying to save her just is completely wasted. And it's just like, no, because it's about what the characters go through. It's a character-driven game. And just the fact that Laura was able to get Isaac killed as well, like, I love it. I think, you know, like, and that just adds more tragedy to Lev's story. His sister's dead now. The only person Lev has left in this world now is Abby. Oh my goodness. But then anyways, you make your way to this, like, grocery market, and it's completely flooded, and you can go this entire section underwater and sneak up on people, kill them, and keep going underwater. You can do it another way. It's just... This is another super fun section. I love it. This is so much fun. But then anyways, then you come across this overpass, and the Seraphites and wolves are just fighting with each other. You can see the chaos is starting to erupt, and it just feels so epic. You're fighting people on both. You're shooting wolves, you're shooting Seraphites. It's just you and Yara. You know, you're just with your own people now. And this section is just so much fun. You kill a bunch of Seraphites, kill a bunch of wolves, you get on a horse, and you start riding towards the village. And Oh my god, like just as you ride towards the village as it's completely engulfed in flames and you're shooting at other people on horses and you're just going through the chaos and the mayhem and the destruction. It is so fantastic. I love it. It feels epic. It feels like an epic battle.
Nothing is stopping us.
Hang on! Abby! Get away from us! Hang on, we're going through! Which way to the docks? Up and over the hill.
And this village engulfed in flames. This pain and misery on both sides. That is what this game is all about. It's like I said earlier, the Wolves in the Seraphite storyline is a bigger version of Ellie's and Abby's storyline. About these two people going at each other. Just getting revenge for this, doing this because they did that, doing this because they did that. This is what it looks like. And my goodness, just as you're fighting people while this village is burning to the ground, it's just fantastic stuff. You eventually come across this big dude that you gotta fight, which is good foreshadowing when you eventually get to the final boss of the game. But you go through this guy, like, he just takes a lot. Like, you, like, got an arrow through him, you rip it out, stab him in the face. Oh, it's brutal. Like, this might be one of the bloodiest moments of the game, and that's saying a lot. But anyways, you escape and you make your way to the aquarium, and Abby's looking for Mel and Owen, and we know where they are. We know what Abby's gonna find. And boy, does it hit hard.
Be careful.
Abby.
Just, it's so emotional. And it's funny too, because at that point, the reaction Abby had to Owen and Mel's deaths is the same reaction Ellie had to Owen and Mel's deaths. But Ellie was in shock. She dropped the map, so Abby knows where to find them, and I'm just like, oh fuck, no, I don't want to do this. So anyways, you sneak into the theater, you find Tommy, you pin it, throw him down to the ground, Jesse and Ellie comes in, Jesse gets shot, and it's still a shocking moment, and Ellie's just like, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? Okay. And then it's just where we left off. Midway through the game, it's where we left off. What's going to happen next?
Get on the ground.
You gonna kill me like a coward?
Stand up! Hands in the air, I shoot this one too.
Don't you do it, Ellie. Get out of here.
Stand up! Now!
Don't you fucking dare!
Shut the fuck up! All right?
Stop! Stop!
Toss your weapon. Toss your weapon!
No.
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did to save me. There is no cure because of me. I am the one that you want. Just let him go.
You killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it.
Wait! Get off of her! Move me!
Come on.
Tommy saves Ellie. Abby then shoots Tommy in the head, and I'm just like, holy shit, did Tommy just die? I know people complain that he didn't. I'll just say that it's the same thing as when Joe didn't die in the first game. He gets stabbed right down. He should have died. He got rebobs right through him. Tommy, he's injured. It's not like, oh, he got shot there and nothing happened. No, it costed him everything. He's not the same after this moment. So it still has weight behind it. But yes, the first time I played this game and I saw Tommy die in this moment, I was just like, holy shit. And then you gotta chase down Ellie, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. And you go through this boss fight, you're going after her, and I'm just like, I don't want to, but you have to. And you're just so complex, because you just understand why Ellie did what she did, and now you're feeling the other way of it. But you still like Ellie, and you like Abby, and you just want it to end. You really do. And then we get this incredible moment, which I'm just going to play here.
Stop! She had nothing to do with this. She's pregnant.
Good.
Abby!
Don't ever let me see you again. Come on.
I just love that moment because it's one of the most intense and thrilling moments of the entire game. Like, Jesse and Manny just got shot like they were nothing. Tommy just got shot. You think he's dead at this moment. And you just feel like anything could happen to anyone. Ellie gets brutally beaten up. Dina gets shot. And she's just getting her head beaten in. And it's just horrific. And you really do feel like these characters could die. But Abby spares them. She has decided to move on. And then it cuts to black. And then it skips to Ellie. She's in a house. And she picks up this little baby. And you're just like, oh. Dina survived. And Ellie and her raising a kid. That's super sweet. I was just picking up in the way that she's talking to the baby. You can just tell that she's meant to be a mother, and you go downstairs, and it's really interesting because someone put up a YouTube video where if you actually just go downstairs and you don't go see Dina immediately, you can hear Dina hum "Take on Me," which is a song Ellie sent to her earlier. But then, anyways, you start dancing with Dina. You put on Crooked Stale song, and Yeah, it's just cute, you know, like just like, oh, they're living a life together. And then the song Ecstasy plays by Crooked Still, and I love this song. I listen to it all the time now ever since I played this game. It's just a very atmospheric song. It has this haunting feel to it, and I absolutely love it. Love it. I like it a lot. Sorry, that was from Dumb and Dumber, I believe. I like it a lot. But no, really, I do love that song. Ellie takes JJ out to the tractor and they sit down there, and Ellie's just like, I'm going to teach you to play the guitar one day. Just like Joe taught her how to play the guitar. And you just get this beautiful sunset. Then you go back inside. Dina's outside doing laundry. You dance with her, and then she's like, can you bring the sheep in? So you go and do that, and you know, one of the sheep isn't going in properly. It's hiding behind this thing, and then all of a sudden it knocks over. Just like that, you get a flashback of Joel's death, and well, I'll just let this scene speak for itself.
An animal that's in a bad mood. Yeah, Mama likes that one too. Okay, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Hey, how'd you get out? Come on, little dude. Come on, little guy. Do you want to eat?
Ellie? Hey, Ellie. Look at me. It's okay. You're home. You're home. Breathe, breathe. Okay, I'm gonna take him, okay? Come here, come here.
Sorry. I don't know what... I was just bringing in the...
It's okay. Here we go. Here we go. That's it. Hey.
Oh, man.
It's good. Haven't had any excitement in a while. Hmm?
It just sucks at this point because you just see that Ellie and Dina have a happy life together, and you just don't move on from something like that. It just stays with you. You know, I like how the staircase feels a lot longer than it actually was. How Joe was crying out to her even though he didn't actually do that. Because she feels responsible. Oh my goodness, it's such great stuff. But then, the next day, we see a horse out front, and we're just like, who is that? You go inside, and it's Tommy. He did survive. I already said that. This is a spoiler review. You probably already know. And Tommy's sitting there, and he tells him that he knows someone who found Abby. At this point, you're just like, no, Tommy, stop it. What are you doing? But then Tommy kind of says what has happened to him. How after he got injured, he wasn't able to move on. Maria left him, and Tommy's life is just shit now. He lost his brother. He lost his one eye. He lost his ability to walk. He has nothing else. He can't even go after Abby. So all he wants is the only thing he has left is to ask Ellie to go after her. And you're mad at him about it, but you also understand it. And Dina's just taking none of that shit, and she just balls him out. And you can just tell that Ellie's conflicted, and she wakes up the next night, and she goes downstairs, and she picks up the guitar, and I just expected her to do the do 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 do. But no. She plays something else. She plays Ecstasy, and then, well, I'll just play this entire moment.
I hate these things.
Tell me about it.
Your old man really laid into me today.
What happened?
Another big lecture about my patrols. Don't go here, don't go there. It's funny how involved he gets whenever you're scheduled to go out.
Yeah.
She's putting on quite the show.
I give you guys 2 weeks until you're back together.
Not gonna happen. She, say something to you?
Make it 1 week.
Ellie! Hey! What took you so long?
Well, I'm here, aren't I?
Dina?
Jesse.
Hey, don't forget, we're heading out early, so get some rest.
Yes, sir.
You're such a dick. Come on. Why don't you start with me? Okay, I have a very serious question for you. How bad do I smell?
Like a hot pile of garbage?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
How about that?
Gross.
You love it.
Every guy in this room is staring at you right now.
Maybe they're staring at you.
Or not.
Maybe they're jealous of you.
I'm just a girl, not a threat.
Oh, Ellie. I think they should be terrified of you.
Hey, this is a family event.
Sorry. Sorry.
Remember next time there's kids around.
Yeah, like you're setting such a great example.
Oh, just what this town needs. Another loudmouth dyke.
The fuck did you just say?
Ellie, Ellie, don't.
Get the hell out of here.
Get your hands off me.
Hey! Enough. Come on, you. Let's go for a walk.
What about them?
You worry about yourself.
Let's get you some fresh air.
You all right, kiddo?
What is wrong with you?
He had no right.
And you do? I don't need your fucking help, Joel.
Right.
Like, it just sucks. Like, that everything that happened in that clip was mentioned at the beginning of the game. We knew everything that happened, but just seeing it, it reminds you, and it just hits hard. Like, it recontextualizes the game because you understand why Ellie feels guilt. Like, the way she spoke to him, like, it's just awful. But it's also a great clip because it also was the last happy moment. It was the night before Joe died. She's with Jesse, and then Dina goes and dances with her, and they're floating, they kiss, and it's just a really great moment. And as soon as Seth, says his bit, you're just like from that point until where we are in the story, like, there's just been a tragic undertone. That was a flashback to the last feel-good moment before everything went to hell. But it also serves as a reminder of what Ellie and Dina are, of what they have. They have a real love for each other, and just like how the first flashback of Joe and Ellie at the museum, it's a nice feel-good moment, but it has a tragic undertone because it reminds you what's lost. And the fact that Ellie's about to leave Dina in the very next scene, this scene now plays as a tragic undertone to what's happening next. And it just shows how everything now, even before the events of the game, how everything now has that tragic undertone to it. And then we also get this scene, which I'll play here.
Hey.
Hey.
Man, it's been a while since he slept this long, huh?
He had a day.
Yeah. He's fine. Go back to bed. We'll talk about it in the morning, okay?
I have to finish it.
You don't owe Tommy anything.
I don't sleep. I don't eat. I'm not like you, Dina.
What? You think this is easy? For you and for him, I deal with it.
I love you.
Prove it. Stay.
I can't.
So what? I'm just supposed to sit here and wait for you? For God knows how long? Just thinking you're fucking dead the entire time?
I don't plan on dying.
Yeah, well, neither did Jesse. Or Joel. Hey, stop. Hey, come on. We've got a family. She doesn't get to be more important than that. No.
do this again.
That's up to you.
This scene just breaks my heart every single time. The fact that Ellie's willing to leave Dina and their kid behind for this crest now, it's just heartbreaking to watch, but you understand it. When Dina's just like, come on, let's go back upstairs. Ellie's just like, I can't. She just can't move on. And it just sucks to see it play out like this. But then anyways, it skips to Abby and Lev. They're looking for the Fireflies, and they actually surprisingly find a really good lead. This looks to be a very promising direction for them to head in. And then they immediately get jumped by this group of rattlers, which is this group of people who kidnap people and basically force them to fight clickers, and they force people to get bitten, to then turn into clickers, to then fight other people that they kidnap. I love that whole idea. They're only in this game for like an hour and a half, but I would love to see more of them. When they do The Last of Us Part 3, I'd be perfectly okay if we see this group back in it in some form, or at least this idea, because that is a fantastic and terrifying idea. But anyways, Ellie then makes her way towards the same kind of area. She finds Owen's boat, which Abby and Lev has clearly been staying in, and you find a note. And it kind of references a spotted seal, which was an inside joke between Abby and Owen. And I'm sure Ellie just reads it and thinks nothing of it. But you know everything that's happened between them. And you just read it. And it's just sad. You know? But, yeah. But anyways, then you make your way through this neighborhood. You fight a bunch of clickers, a bunch of people. And Ellie just doesn't look healthy at this point. She's incredibly skinny. It's like she said to Dina, she can't eat, she can't sleep, and it shows. But then Ellie eventually steps onto a trap and she gets stabbed by this tree branch, which is just a brutal moment. And then these guys come over and they put Ellie down. They're obviously a part of the same group that kidnapped Abby. And Ellie outsmarts him in the most brilliant way. She pisses him off to the point where he wants to feed her to a clicker, and Ellie leans back, fighting back. The guy keeps pushing forward, and then Ellie with all her weight goes forward. So they both get bitten, and she grabs a machine gun, shoots the other guy. I love Ellie. Just the way that she took down that guy, brilliant. But then you keep going your way towards where you're supposed to go. You take on all these different groups. There's this group of people in the next section, which if you have an exploding arrow... Oh, I haven't mentioned the exploding arrow. What a nice addition. It is so much fun to just shoot and watch people blow up. I love the exploding arrow. And if you do that at the big group at the beginning of the next section, easy way to take down the guys. But I don't like to do that because I like to take them down one-on-one. That way I have more fun with it. Then you take down some other guys, and it's just a lot of fun. You then make your way under this fence, and there's more people that you have to take down. And like this entire section is just so much fun. Like you can let runner go and attack some guys. You can stealth them with the bow and arrow. You can just do it in so many different ways. I love the level design, especially the next section, which is pretty much the last section because it's just this great open area. There's people on the second story watching you. There's a bunch of clickers and runners, and they're kind of held captive. And I just love this section every time. Everyone's heavily armed. You got this machine gun with the silencer at this point, and oh my god, I just have the most fun. But you eventually make your way through a group of prisoners. Well, Ellie lets them go, and she's just like, where's Abby? And they say she's down by the beach. So you head down towards the beach, and I'm just looking for Abby. I'm like, I can't find her. You go across this one girl who looks like her, and you're just like, no, that's not Abby. And then you find her, and she's just strung up, and this entire moment is just haunting, and she just looks like shit. She doesn't look like Abby. She's obviously gone through hell, and Ellie lets her down, and Abby then goes out to rescue Lev, and she holds Lev like this, just the way Joel carried Ellie at the end of the first game, and Ellie just doesn't know what to do. But you make your ways to this water, and then you see a wallboard. And I love this wallboard, because here's why. When you first start the game, that's the main menu. It's a wallboard. So when Ellie gets on a wallboard at the shopping mall, I'm like, oh, that must be why. Nope. When you're Abby and you see that there's a wallboard kind of near the docks, you're just like, oh, is that why there's a wallboard? No. And then you get to this moment, you're just like, that's the impact of the wallboard. But Ellie's just like, she's in shock, she doesn't know what to do, and she's just going to leave them. But then she gets a flashback of Joel. And just like she told Dina, she can't. Abby says she won't fight her. So then Ellie threatens Lev's fight. Threatens Lev. And now Abby's just like, well, now I have to fight. And the entire time I'm playing this, I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to fight anymore. I didn't want to kill Abby anymore. And the game forces you to. And this entire moment is just so powerful. Like, and then anyways, in a eventual point, you got Abby down in the water, and she bites your fingers, 2 of your fingers clean off. But then you drown her, and it really looks like Ellie's going to drown her. And I'll just play this entire moment here.
I can't let you leave.
I'm not doing this.
No.
I'm not gonna fight you.
Yes, you will.
He's not a part of this.
You made him a part of this.
Okay.
go. Just take him.
Ellie has that flashback of Joel, and she doesn't remember him beaten up this time. She remembers him as he was. Just sitting on his porch playing guitar, and she just stops. And then just the way her voice breaks as she says, just take him. Just go. It breaks my heart every time. She just sits there in the water as Abby and Lev leave, and you just can't help but wonder what she's thinking of. How is she going to move on from this? And the music just adds to the emotion. Like at that point, Ellie just realizes that all the damage is done. Just killing Abby just... It's not only going to continue the cycle where Lev could eventually want to kill Ellie one day, but it's also just... What good is it going to do at this point? Then anyways, it skips ahead some time and we see Ellie without her two fingers, and she approaches the farmhouse that her and Dina were living in, and she goes inside and it's empty. Dina took JJ and left. And yeah, the emotional devastation going on is just heartbreaking. It just really tends to hit you that, wow, Ellie really has lost everything by this point. She goes upstairs and she finds a guitar and she starts to play it. And instead of sounding like do 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 like it's supposed to sound, it's just do 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 do. Because she lost the two fingers, she can't play it. She can't even play the guitar anymore. She can't even play the song that Joe taught her. She just lost everything. But her soul. I know people are upset that Ellie didn't kill Abby, but if by the end of the game you wanted Ellie to kill Abby, then you might have beaten the game, but you lost the game that the game was playing with your soul. Girlfriend's Reviews said that. That's not an original quote by me, but I couldn't put it better myself. If you still want to kill Abby at the end of this game, you just missed the point. And then you get one last final flashback of after the dance, the night before Joe died, where Ellie goes to the porch, and I'll just play it to you.
drinking?
Coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Those people that came through last week.
Oh.
A little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
I had Seth under control.
Yeah, I know.
And you need to stop harassing Jesse about my patrols.
Okay. Dina. Is she your girlfriend?
No. No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. She just, I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
So stupid.
Look, I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
Yeah. I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I like that.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
Just the conversation between the two of them, it feels so authentic. It feels real. Just Ellie being like, I was supposed to die in that hospital that night. My life would have fucking mattered. And you took that from me. And Joel's just like, if the Lord gave me another chance that moment, I would do it all over again. And Ellie's just like, and I don't think I could ever forgive you for that. And your heart breaks. And then she's like, but I would like to try. And it just warms your heart. She was going to forgive Joel. You can see Joel's like trying not to tear up in that moment. They were going to have a relationship again. Ellie was going to try to forgive him. All those years of them being distant, Ellie was going to finally try, and she blames Abby for the fact that she took that from Ellie. But it wasn't Abby, it was Ellie. You know, it was Ellie's own fault that they grew apart. You know, like I said, at the beginning of the game, there's a line where Ellie's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch a movie with Joel. And at the time, it's just like a nothing line. It just means nothing. But now that you've played the entire game and you realize that Ellie was going to forgive Joel, that very next night, Ellie was going to invite Joel to watch a movie. And that just is gone. It's like I said, this game really soaks in the idea of the permanency of life. You know, there's just everything that happens is permanent. Ellie will never get another chance. Joe is gone. She cannot go past. She cannot go back to the past 2 years and do things differently. She did it. She acted a specific way, and she would have acted that way in those 2 years forever. And it's just heartbreaking. Ellie has so much regret and guilt over it. And Abby was the person that she could take that out on. Not to say that Abby didn't do a horrific evil act, but she did. It's just so complex when you just look at everything. There's just so much depth and nuance on display, and just after that scene, it cuts back to Ellie. She's just sitting with the guitar. She puts it down, and she just walks away. Where is she going? We don't know. Just as the critics were rolling, I was just like, I felt dirty. I felt depressed. I felt empty. This game just takes this character that you loved so much, who had so much hope and optimism and life in her, and it just quenches her dry of all of it. And it's just heartbreaking to watch that happen. And I love the credits of this game because eventually by the end you get this cover of Wayfaring Stranger by Johnny Cash, except it's sung by Ellie. And you're just like, oh yeah, this is good. But then Troy Baker joins in as Joel, and I had way too much of an emotional response just for someone singing a song. I really loved that moment though. Like whenever I play these games now, everything feels inevitable. Joel only met Ellie because he had to transport her because she was immune. And because of that, those two grew closer and closer over that time, to the point where he would kill all the Fireflies to save her. And that event would set it off the event that eventually kills him, that would then set Ellie on this quest of revenge, which would then also set Abby on this quest of redemption. Well, eventually they do meet up again and cause each other more pain, and then eventually ends up where this story ends up. Just everything feels inevitable. Now whenever I play the first game, there's this tragic undertone because like I said, every event between the two games feels inevitable. This game builds so perfectly off of the first game, and just the way it explores that feeling of guilt and regret and needing forgiveness and wanting redemption. Like, can one act define an entire person? Abby did something evil. Joel did something that was really wrong. Do those one acts define them? Who even decides? Can you ever redeem yourself? Is Abby a good person or a bad person? Well, she did lots of bad and terrible evil things, but she's also realizing that and wants to be better. And is that enough to be a good person? Ellie sees Abby as this evil, sick, disgusting person. And Lev sees Abby as the only thing he has left. Joe views Ellie as the best thing, ever. The best person in a very long time that he's really come to care for. And Ellie just views herself as someone whose only purpose was to die. Abby views Joel as this evil, sick man who killed her dad and all these other people that she cared for. So it's just like, what makes a good person a good person? What makes a bad person a bad person? It's just how people's lives interweave with each other. Sometimes, in another life, Ellie and Abby could have met and become really good friends. But that's not the case. That's not what happened. That's never will be what will happen. And it just leaves you thinking, like, are there any good or bad people in the world? Because, I don't know, it just feels like there's people who do good things and people who do bad things. And it's never too late to try to do good things. Like Joe was a terrible person for 20 years. Only through Ellie did he eventually find a way to redeem himself. Do those 20 years of evil deeds make him a terrible person? We only know the Joe that we know that the story has told us. That doesn't make him a good person. It just makes our perception of him to be good. If we saw him in those 20 years from a different perspective, we'd despise Joe. So it's just like every single person has so much depth to it. And even when you see that Joe went into that bad place and then redeemed himself, and we see Abby go into that bad place and then redeem herself, and we see Ellie go into that bad place, and we haven't seen her redeem herself yet, but the ending shows that there's still hope for her. I just think this game is beautiful, especially like just how the structure constantly recontextualizes the game. How at the beginning the game is shown that you think that this game is about two characters growing distant from each other, who then Ellie then finds out what Joe did over this crest. Only for the structure of the game, the flashbacks, to constantly recontextualize it. And then it takes the ballsiest, most riskiest of risks, in making you play as Abby and sympathize with her. And it forces you to do things that you don't want to do, and forces you to feel things that you don't want to feel. And every single character is given some level of depth and nuance. As Abby, you kind of hate Mel. But Mel is the one who's pregnant, whose boyfriend is cheating on her with another person. This game just paints everything into perspective. And the thing is, it doesn't give you any answers. Like I said, is Abby a good person or a bad person? Is Ellie a good person or a bad person? And they're all just people who do good and bad things. Every time I play this game, I just can't believe how good it is, because it's not just this emotional, heartbreaking story, but it also is this really fun game to play with amazing graphics, this incredible musical score. But just everything about this game blows me away. I'm still blown away by it to this day. I could talk about this game forever. I really could. But I think I've talked about it for quite long enough. I just think it's the greatest storytelling ever. And I have a hard time seeing anything beat it. Last of Us 3. I hope they make it. And if they make it, I trust that they'll do a great job. Neil Druckmann is an absolute genius. I'm so thankful this game exists. Exactly the way it is. I know they got lots of hate, but I'm glad this game is exactly what it is. It is pure perfection. It's a masterpiece. It is the greatest story ever. But anyways, have you played Last of Us Part 2? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.